So do I. But I'd like to get that out of the way before I get them in
Yes,
here.
that's what I do, because I can't.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, Audrey?
I'm good.
My gosh, you are prolific these days.
I had to catch up.
I know, and they're all so pretty. I really like since you added that, I guess you'd say purple or lavender in there. It's just lovely.
That was from the color wheel class that you did.
Really good.
It's beautiful.
And that's right. We talked about the color wheel, didn't we?
Yeah, and I had never even thought about adding purple to it
Yeah.
until that class.
Well,
And
good.
then
I'm glad.
found this little half yard of purple fabric. It was like, it was the right purple because it had to be right.
Yep. Yep. Well, it's right. It looks so pretty.
Yeah, I never would have thought to add that color either, but it looks just so perfect.
It is beautiful. Love him.
Long live the color wheel.
I keep moving it around in my sewing room.
And Jean, you're driving in the car
What?
and we
You're
can't
on-
hear you.
She's on mute.
We can't hear you.
Yes, I'm driving home now. I didn't want to miss anything. Of course, I can't miss a party. So I will be home in probably a half an hour. So I will go off my phone and onto my computer once I get home.
Okay. All right. Good. I'm glad you're coming.
And I'll keep you muted so you don't have to listen to all the trucks I'm driving around. Or not driving, but my husband.
Okay. Would you like us to wait and do the PowerPoint when you get home?
No, that's okay. Because it's going to be another probably half hour or so before I get home. So no problem.
All right. We'll see you soon.
I'll be on my phone watching though.
Okay.
But then I'll have to leave. I'll have to leave the meeting, and then you'll have to re-enter me once I go home and I get on my computer.
Okay. All right. We'll see you then. Hi, Joanne. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. How are you coming with your blocks?
I have one cut out, so that'll be one, and I have two more to do. I'm way behind, but
I've got two more to do too. I am finally making my first correct sized swoon block. I made it that great big one for those t-shirts I was doing. And now I'm doing the smaller one, and oh, it's such a pretty block. I love it. It makes me swoon.
I thought it was appropriate for my last one.
Yeah, I know. Very good. Carol, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm behind, but I'm not worrying about it. I can't. I got to.
You're ahead in one way because you did that second,
Applique.
applique block, yeah. And
Well, that's not finished yet. I've got it all sealed down, ready to stitch. But I've been practicing my stitching because there's so much of it, to do. There's, 4 images.
right.
And 4 complicated images. So I'm still practicing because I don't want to mess it up.
Good. Well, it's a pretty little block. I like it.
Yeah.
Looks pretty.
And Jean, how are you? Jean Sarlotta, are you
I'm
sewing?
doing fine. I'm doing fine, but I'm not going to be with you for the whole meeting because I am packing to go to Chicago tonight.
Oh my gosh. You are a traveling wonder.
Yeah, well, my grandson is graduating on Sunday, so I want to be there.
Oh, well,
Right.
that's
So I'm
good.
hoping to catch most of the meeting.
Good,
And
good.
I want, if I don't get a chance to say anything to you, I want to wish you lots of luck on your surgery next week.
No, I don't have to go till the 15th. I will have one,
Yeah, in 2 weeks, right?
we have
15.
one more meeting next week and then
Right.
we'll into the summer. Yeah.
So I should be back about then.
Good, that's great. Ellen, you're doing well?
Yeah, yeah, I still have some black, I have a couple, still have to finish my May blocks. I'm behind. I started cleaning up my sewing room, which was,
That's like a big rabbit hole, isn't it?
yes. Yes,
Carol always has exactly the right thing to say.
No, no, not really.
I couldn't wind my way through the path anymore, so I at least had to get some of the stuff off the floor, and it's very hard to get rid of stuff, though.
I know.
I know.
I think we all suffer from that problem.
Even small pieces that, I just find it difficult. I just have to make myself put them in a box, put them in a bin and say, out of the house.
There's a great Facebook page called Fabric Relocation Station. And people offer up scraps, yardage, whatever they want to get rid of. And it's like, would anybody be interested in this? I can't use it, but maybe you can.
Yeah.
And they send it to each other. It's like free for shipping.
That's
That's a good idea.
It's a really good page.
You
What's it
know,
called?
Bree, I think you should be in every single one of my classes because you come up with these wonderful, wonderful ideas and connections. You're our go-to girl for some of those. That's great.
Fabric Relocation Station.
Oh, okay.
that's cool.
I gotta write that down.
I know, I was throwing stuff out that would seem too small to me, but then when we did that applique block, I realized all those little scraps are kind of the right pieces for those small appliques. So now,
Exactly.
Or there are people on that page that make crumb quilts.
oh, really? Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really don't need to save anymore. I just, you know,
Or if you're looking for a specific piece of fabric that maybe somebody has in their stash that they're not using, you can put it out to the group saying, help, I need one more yard of this. Does anybody have any to spare?
Is
oh,
this,
that,
is this on Facebook or is it
It's on Facebook.
on Facebook?
Relocation station
Fabric Relocation Station.
.com.
No, it's a Facebook page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just
Here,
go
I'll post it in our page.
okay.
That'd be a good idea, then it'll always be there. In fact, what I will do is I'll put a hashtag on it for the files folder on our page. And then if you lose it, you can go into files and you'll always be able to find that link.
Great.
Okay, that's good.
Now, if they would just come and clean up the rest of the mess.
Make me laugh. That's a- Diane Dolan, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
Fine. You're still healthy and well.
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah, getting there.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I knew you went to the Cleveland Clinic, right? Was that for you or for your husband?
That was for me.
Okay.
So, it's an ongoing process when you get older, I guess. It's
Yeah.
always something.
My mother and dad used to say that their social life was going to the doctor appointments they had.
Yeah. That's about it.
I tell my
All the-
kids, a lot of maintenance once you get over 50. It's just,
Try 75.
Yeah, it gets worse, Joanne.
I don't
Yeah,
have time.
it does. It does.
Irene, how are you doing?
Okay,
Good.
don't mind going a mile a minute, but
Well, that's the way you work.
I know that I think of all these things and I can't sit still. I gotta be moving around. So,
Get that. Listen, have you decided on how to put your quilt together? Are you just gonna sew all your blocks together?
yes, I have. I'm gonna do 5 blocks across, 6 down. I think I might end up doing a narrow section in between each block.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I got 25 blocks. I got 5 left to do. So I'm working on 1. So there's 4 left to do.
Good. I've got 2 more and I've started sewing my quilt together. I've got the center section done. I'm so excited.
Oh,
Good for you.
Wow.
It's kind of working out. Yeah, I'll talk about that more next week. We don't need to talk about that this week. I'll have more answers next week. Anyway, Diane Kunert, I see you here. You're not out
Yes.
in the garden. It's raining.
Yeah, it's raining and I have most of it in, except for a few odds and ends. And all we have left to do is wash down the whole I have a big outdoor covered patio. I have to wash that down because it's siding and everything. Put up my Kohler awnings that roll down and then put my patio furniture out and then I can go. So it's been a long 6 weeks out there. We pulled out some big overgrown burning bushes in the island and we planted 13 perennials in there because I'm getting tired of flowers, even though I have gazillions of flowers. When I'm finished, I'll post a picture. Because Eileen, I put tons of flowers out.
Yeah, I know that I don't buy any annuals. Everything I do is perennials because I
Well,
can't.
I'm switching over to that slowly, but our backyard is mostly shade now. So the one side is all New Guinea impatiens and the others and begonias, and the other side is like straw flowers and portulaca vines and things that can handle like morning sun, but shade the rest of the day. So it keeps evolving every year as the pine trees keep growing. So, and the pine trees make it very acidic. So there's, only certain things that can live back there with them.
Yeah,
So,
hard to grow stuff in pine.
yeah. Well, we just put in a new azalea, not azalea, a new oh my God, I'm a brain fart, a new rhododendron. So, and a couple new rhododendron and a couple new hydrangeas. We have a endless summer hydrangea, which is hot pink, and the flowers are about this big, and it's taken pretty well. So it's a slow process, but it changes every year. And now we put in a lot of coral bells. They love the shade and they've almost doubled in size since I planted them. So that's a good thing. So anyway, I'm sewing the block and then I have the two following ones, the bonus one and the Easter one, not the Easter one, the Mother's Day one to do. So that'll give me 30 blocks in the blues. And then I have 25 blocks in the Christmas colors. And the 9 in the center with the different background fabric are going in the center without borders. And then I'm going to get probably a red or green to go. It's going to look like a hashtag. 3 are going to touch. 3 on the sides are going to touch. 3 on the bottom are going to touch. And then there's the 4 corners. So I have it planned out, but I just have to get that Christmas fabric. And I have no clue what to put in with my blue ones.
Well, you've got to let
It's
me know about that Christmas fabric.
I will.
Let me know.
Yeah, I will. Probably July.
Okay.
Probably in July. And
it'll be coming out on the floor in July.
yeah, we'll see that there. That's when, well, I may come then. I don't know. But right now I'm going to concentrate on putting the sections together without the board, without any sashing or anything, which won't be too bad. So I think I posted the pictures online a long time ago and nothing has changed. So because I have 25 of the Christmas fabric blocks, I don't even need, I was going to paper piece those wreaths and the moose, and I don't even need them. So I'm going to make those and turn them into pillows.
Good.
So, but I don't know what to do for that. It's the blues and the whites and the navy blue, and I throw in a little bit of turquoise once in a while. So I don't know what I'm going to put as sashing on that one. And that one's going to be 30 blocks, probably 5 by 6. So.
You
I'll
need
probably just-
sashing?
I don't know. I think I posted it. I'm gonna look.
Yeah.
Did I post it without
Yeah.
sashing?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. I have to play with it yet, but trying to pick a color is gonna be tough. It's either gonna be white, a color of blue, or the turquoise. And I have that, I use that one turquoise batik in there occasionally that's got the snowflakes on it.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of that fabric. So I was even thinking maybe testing it out by laying that fabric out and putting the blocks on that turquoise and see what it looks like in the middle. But I don't know.
good.
I have to play. I still got these 2 blocks to get done, which I'm getting there. I've got this
Oh,
one.
good.
I got that one halfway done there that I'm working on.
Okay.
It's getting there. So I'm
Okay.
here.
The thing that I'm finding exciting is that you all seem to want to finish these blocks and actually get your quilt together.
Well, heck, we got this far.
I just hate-
I may get the top done. I don't know about getting it quilted, but I may get the top done. You know, I've got like 20 in my queue waiting to get done. Except I think I might send these out.
I keep
I
thinking,
might find somebody to help me finish them.
I keep thinking about Diane Dolan, you know? She just put a quilt together out of blocks that she made how many years ago, Diane?
20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
50 years.
I hear you.
I'm all about trying to finish what we start, you know?
Well, I told you I have that quilt that I made in 1992. 25 bucks completely by hand. It's gorgeous. It's navy blue, turquoise, and white fabrics from back then, and it's completely made by hand except for the sashings. And we started hand quilting it, and these don't work anymore with a needle.
I know.
So it's a major chore for me, and I've had it. It's sitting in my upstairs in the upstairs bedroom on the rocking chair with the bag of Coats and Clark quilting thread and the little beeswax piece and
Yeah.
do you remember that little spoon that you put your thumb in?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little spoon thing that was especially made for hand quilters, and my 22-inch hoop. And that's how I do it. And it sits there. I brought it out again and I keep looking at it and it'll go back in the closet. But it's got about more than a quarter of it is quilted, you know, just in the ditch and, you know, that kind of stuff. Just very simple, but it's from 1990. So what is that? 31 years. And it's got the old fashioned fuzzy batting inside it.
Oh,
Remember the old fashioned fuzzy batting, the polyester stuff?
Mhm.
I don't
So-
want ladies who work 31 years. I'll be dead by then. Ah,
I don't want to
We'll go
die
on.
and leave all these unfinished quilts. Andrews is over there. He's been
Yes, I
asking for 3 years.
oh my gosh, you guys. All right, well, I think I touched base with everybody that's here at the moment. So why don't I go ahead and start the PowerPoint? Jean, I hope you can see some of it. And then
I'm
we'll-
I'm about 3 minutes away from being at home, so I can turn it on as soon as I get there.
well, then why don't I wait 3 more minutes?
That works.
Oh,
yeah, that's fine.
I don't want you to have to make everybody else wait.
Well,
We have lots we could still talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure we do. We can really, you know what I do want to tell you, Carl and I just came from Chautauqua Lake. And when Diane was talking about rhododendrons, I have a half of my pictures that I took were of the rhododendrons in Chautauqua Lake that were as tall as the house. I have
Oh.
never in my life seen rhododendrons that large. I mean, they would be on the side of a house and they would be as tall as the house and almost as wide as the house. I'll try
Yes.
to post a picture or two. Pictures don't do them justice, but you have to see. It's look at the house in comparison to these bushes. They were unbelievable, and they were beautiful colors like 2 or 3 different shades of pink, but then there was a salmon colored one, white. Oh, they were unbelievably gorgeous.
Are you sure that, were they azaleas or were they rhododendrons?
No, they're rhododendrons.
I
They're
think they were rhododendrons. I'm not positive, but I think
Yeah.
that they were.
Please don't get that.
They were. I'll post a picture or 2 of them on our blog page.
Did any of you see the rhododendron that I posted on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was very big like that one was. In fact, it got to the point where it was up touching the branches on this pine tree that was growing behind it. I just was amazed. It was gorgeous and I miss it so much.
when I moved to Chautauqua County and moved down there, I was amazed. I had never seen such rhododendrons like Jean is talking about. I'd never seen so many and such large ones as are down there around the houses in Chautauqua and Jamestown area. They're incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I never saw them that many different colors.
Oh yeah. Yeah, down there they're just prolific. Something about the soil or the atmosphere just amazing.
I'll tell you another place where you'll see them like that is down in the Great Smoky Mountains. All along the rivers, the edges of the shores and up under the pine trees. They're just everywhere and they're huge. And they're gorgeous. There's nothing like a beautiful rhododendron. I always hate seeing people plant them in the front of their house because if they really got as big as they can get, their house is going to be hidden someday. So Jean is in her house now. Welcome home, Jean.
Jean, you're on mute.
We can't hear you.
I've never done this before, so I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm going to switch from my phone to the computer. So if you see me trying to get in,
I'll let you in.
You'll let me in.
Oh.
I think you're just gonna have to turn off your phone probably. I know I had somebody on yesterday. Oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then there she was. Oh my gosh. Let's see, I'm gonna have to get my screen ready to share. Screen. Oh, first of all, I've got to go in and get my file. Wait a minute. Where's my file? I am. Okay. There, now she should be coming in here.
There she is.
There?
There you are.
Well, that was an adventure.
Nah. Ta-da.
That worked.
Okay, so you can see that, I think.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
In the beginning. There you go. So we're kind of winding down. We've been winding down for a couple of months, but I keep finding things to teach you. And now I'm running out. So, but I found something to talk about today. So.
Good.
Don't we always find something to talk about?
Right. So since we're coming into summer, I put in some of my summer pictures. I'm going to look back and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the lessons we learned. And one of the ones I forgot to put in was about the color wheel. I'll have to think about that. I want to talk a little bit about borders and adding borders to your quilts if any of you decide to do that. And and then talk about the summer a bit. So let's look at some of the lessons that we learned across this year. We learned how to use a fabric chart. I guess one of the things I'm also wondering is, I would like you to kind of think about all of this, because when we get all done, one of the things I'm going to ask you is, what was the one thing that made the biggest difference to your sewing? So think about
Only
that.
one?
Yeah, exactly.
We went over how to make these rulers work for you. At least in the beginning, in September, I introduced them. And I remember several of you saying, oh, do we really need those? And I said, no, you don't need them. But later on, you might want them. We talked about catching subtle errors. And you know, when I put this picture up again, I couldn't find the error in it to save me. But then I did. And then not so subtle errors. And still some of us have trouble when we put our blocks together, grabbing the wrong one. Right, Audrey? And sewing things in.
You know, it's like, I think it's right. I check it, and then I take the final picture and it's like, oh, I need to learn to take the picture before I sew it together.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with that. Doing it before, because you can always delete the before. You don't have to keep that in your records.
So then in October, we practiced, remember, the focus on emphasis. What was it that we wanted to emphasize in a block? And by emphasizing different parts of a block, would it make the block look different? And some of us found out that it really does change the personality of the block. I think we now all understand the difference between finished and unfinished. I think we've talked about it enough so that it should be clear for all of you as you go forward, even when you work with other people's patterns. We talked about the importance of squaring up our units, that the block will really be 12.5 inches if we square each corner unit and side unit, and even the center unit, to make sure it's exactly right. And then in November, we went back and we talked about the mini simple folded corners ruler, because some of us were having trouble with flying geese. And we used the wing clipper ruler, some of us, to measure that out so it was correct. We learned about vertical columns and sewing things together in vertical columns. And all these instructions and things, these are just slides that I lifted out of the past PowerPoint. So it's like repetitious. We played with block dissection. And I don't know if many of you really thought about that concept before, but it really does help me, I know, to make a list of what's in the block and figure out what colors and how many of each I need. And then we put this up, and this was just at that time, I think it was the end of December. It was, this is what we've done, and this is where we're going. At Christmas time, we had a Christmas block, and many of you commented on how this particular summation that I put at the bottom of that block was helpful. So I don't know, I think I remember Diane saying she keeps it on her wall. We talked about different sewing tips and the importance of leaders and enders and presser foot pressure, and sewing one unit at a time, pressing in our columns. A lot of this we would talk about and then go back over it. We talked about anticipating the bear paws, and this was at the end of December as we were going into January. And then I began to say, what do you see? I was trying to get you to the point where you would become a little more independent. And I really began to notice that you were changing up your blocks. You were deciding what you wanted to emphasize. you were making a list of what you needed to cut. And I began to see that you were getting freed up a little bit, and that was really exciting. I do have to pay tribute to Audrey here, because with her ideas, this was one of her organizational ideas, and she clipped her clips along the batting at the top, and then she took that same color, and that was for the column she was working on. She's so innovative. This was clever. Whoops. And then in February, we did, go back there, parallelogram units, and we dipped into using our number 7. I think it's the number 7
Yes.
in the AccuQuilt cube, so that if anybody hadn't used it, it gave you a chance to say, no, I've used all my dies. Okay, now that before it wanted to move fast. Okay, and then this was just one where we discovered that, like when you're working with your parallelograms or your half square triangles, sometimes the actual half square triangles can be kind of tricky. They may be made the same way, but they need to be twisted around so that they create the design that is embedded in that particular block. And then we played with foundation piecing. And again, that was in February. We did a lot of key things in February. We did our center on point, and we did our side sections. I did a paper piecing class last night, and Lorraine Delmar was there. And we had a marvelous time. But because of this paper piecing project, she is so turned on to paper piecing that she is now paper piecing like wall hangings that are 42 inches square. I wish you could see the one that she just
Go girl.
Wow.
I mean,
She
really.
should put a picture on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I agree. I need to tell her that. I didn't mention that last night. And then we did some swooning. That was an extra block. And in March, I wanted you to go back and look at your points, because so many people kept saying, I still lose my points. And I think you now are beginning to realize that you lose those points if your 1/4 inch seam fades off at the tip. In other words, if you keep your 1/4 inch seam straight, you will get your points. And I think that is that was a good lesson. And then a lot of us had some success with this labyrinth block. I know Carol Pope, she did a great job with making a table topper for somebody. And then we had these blocks, which was kind of fun because you began to realize that with one basic design, you can end up with, here you've got 3 different blocks, and you can pick what you want, and you can put in what colors that you want, or not. But they are all basically similar blocks. And I showed you how to use the star point, Strippy Stars ruler for making the points if you didn't have the dies. And even if you've got the dies, you know how to make these so that anytime you want to make a star for something, you have a way to do it that adjusts it to the size star. And then we began to talk more about grids in a block. And I put up these different diagrams so that you could see the differences in grids. Whoops, oh, no. Why did it do that? That was, that was the second one. Okay. And then I finally thought you were ready to try some fancier kinds of, I guess they call these corners. I called them sinking sailboats. Because I was worried that you, way back in the beginning, would have been overwhelmed with something like this. But about the time we tried this in March and April, you were ready to go, and it came out kind of interesting. Then we started to talk a little bit about quilt layouts and how nicely things were beginning to come together. And then we touched with the information that for AccuQuilters, if you take the time to mark your dies, it might make a difference. And I think it's helping a lot of people. We did our applique, and then some of you asked for a second one, like Carol is doing the second one, and it's coming out real cute. We star glowed at Easter time. And then I asked, how big am I needing to make my quilt? So then we got our quilt chart. So you've got a quilt chart that helps you with knowing what size to make your quilt. Thanks to Diane Kunert, we figured out how to correct a paper piecing pattern, which I probably could have figured out, but didn't take the time to do it. I didn't know whether it was an error in the pattern or if it was the way the author of the pattern intended it to be. Well, Diane knew it was an error. So we got that fixed and ended up making a really nice block. Then we had another bonus block to thank you all for being such wonderful moms. And in May, I mentioned this Sew Straight help that you can get through Eleanor Burns. And I'm finding that it really makes a difference in some of my sewing, especially when I'm sewing blocks together. And then we really seriously got down to applying grids to quilts. And like Diane Dolan's beautiful quilt here, we hope to have ours put together sometime soon. The rule of triangles, we've touched on the rule of triangles and how to lay your blocks out so that they are distributed well throughout the quilt. Now I want to touch just a little bit on borders. We talked about this one previously. Inside that go outside the box AccuQuilt book, there is the Tutti Frutti border that you can make by using die 55009, or it's die number 5 in the 12-inch cube. If you need a border and you want something that looks interesting, then this is the kind of border you can add. And these are all, I believe they're 3-inch finished half square triangles. I don't know if they're 3 or 4, I can't remember. But you sew them together in blocks like this, half square triangles. And I don't know, I was going to say you could do flying geese, but I think you've got to use the half square triangles for this in order to get it right. And you can put an interesting border on your quilt. Or you can put a patchwork border on or piano keys. Now, what I've done here is simply taken some strips, sewed them together. Say I take 2-inch strips and I sew them together, and then the red lines, I cut them vertically so that I end up with a column of 2-inch squares. And then I sew them end to end together, and that can become a border around the outside of your quilt. Or you can sew those same strips together and cut them into longer rectangles, whatever you choose, and you can put piano keys around the outside edge of your border. You still sew them together end to end, only it would be side to side actually. And so that's how I make them. And if you sew the strips together, if you take the time to sew the strips together, whether they're 1.5 inches or 2 inches or 3.5 or more, then, whoops, Brenda's here. Then you can create your interesting looking border. Now, I just want to say that when you put borders on your quilt, it can make your quilt look very interesting. The thing is that when you are dealing with quilt blocks, you may find that your quilt is going to be big enough without an awful lot of borders. But if you've got a bed where you want your quilt to drop down over the edges, then you may want to add like 3 borders. Here,
Oh,
a narrow border on it. It's got the squares and then it's got a larger border. And of course, those squares don't have to be as big as they are in the picture. They can be smaller. This was a quilt I made a long time ago. Sorry for the end of the picture, but it does show you that I added borders to this log cabin quilt. And those are all 1.5 inch squares that I sewed together in strips, and then I sewed them together end to end, and it only took me 45 minutes to put that border on the quilt. I did not have to sew all those little squares together. Now, this is about putting borders on your quilt. I have a lot of people that still say, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I just take a strip of fabric and sew it along the side of my quilt. And then they wonder why their quilt comes out really wavy on the sides or looks as if it's been stretched somehow. So what you do is the first step is measure down the middle of your quilt, top to bottom. I will add as a footnote that it helps if you make sure that your quilt is as square as you can get it. Now with our blocks, I don't think you're going to have an issue because they're all about the same size. But then you measure down the middle and take that measurement, write it down on a piece of paper so you don't forget it. And then the 2 yellow borders, you're going to cut them to exactly that measurement. And those are the borders then that you're going to sew on the outside edge. Now my tip here is so that it goes on correctly and it helps your quilt lay flat. Fold your border in half and find the midpoint. Now I usually put a pin in, maybe you'd rather mark it. It's whatever you want to do. And then after you do that, then you're going to fold each end into the middle and you're going to find the 1/4 mark and you're going to put a pin in there. Now the next thing then is to do that to your quilt. Fold the top to the bottom and mark the middle and mark the 1/4 points. And then go ahead and match your border and your quilt. Now, here's another tip. I always sew my quilt onto the border. I do not sew the border onto my quilt. That strip is less apt to stretch if you can take the quilt and lay it onto the border and match your middle and your quarters. And then after you match them up, match up the 2 ends, make sure they're there. And all the rest of it, just ease it in nicely. And your border will go on nice and even. And you do the same thing to the other side. And
So you sew your quilt is on top of the border piece.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. You'll find that it will be helpful to do that. Now then you're going to do the same thing for the top and bottom borders. Only this time you're going to measure in the middle from side to side with those side borders. So many times people, at least when I was a beginner, I would go ahead and cut the borders according to what they'd said in the pattern. No, wait till you get your project sewed and then figure out what the measurement is you want for your borders. It works much better and it wastes a lot less fabric and it saves you from having to piece things if it's not long enough. But it's the same process. Fold it, find the middle and the quarters, fold the quilt, find the middle and the quarters, and then lay your border down and then put your quilt on the top of that right sides together and carefully pin it so that it all is eased in nice and flat. The other tip I would give you is make sure that your presser foot pressure is eased up some. I put mine to probably 28 or 30 when I'm putting my borders on. I do the same thing when I put on my binding. That way you're not snow plowing as you do it, and it will ease it on much better.
Could I ask a question?
Yep.
Do you use the walking foot when you're doing that?
I use my, either a walking foot or I use my D feet on my 790.
Oh, okay.
So if you don't have D feet, then yes, I would suggest you use a walking foot. Just make sure that you've got it at a quarter of an inch. You know,
Oh.
you're going to do a quarter of an inch.
What foot did you just say? The D what?
Well, I use my 97D when I'm sewing.
Oh, I don't see that in my box.
No, Brenda, that's a foot that I had to buy it extra. You have you had something called a 37D, I think.
No, I have a 64. No, I don't have that. That's okay.
Well,
That's totally worth it.
investment that you need to make. I thought the 37D came with the machine.
97D is the best thing I got.
Yes, it is great.
97D foot, as far as I'm concerned, that could have cost $1 million and I would have paid it because
97D.
97.
Yes, it's well worth it, Brenda.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
what
You're
was
good.
this lady that had this machine thinking? She didn't buy one. No, I don't have it. Okay.
So this, I just want to remind you of this. After you put on your first border, square up your quilt. Okay, lay the ruler right along the seam line and trim off, even if it's only 1/8 of an inch or less, go ahead and even it up. Then put on your second border because it will go on much nicer if it goes on a first border that's not real wiggly. And after you put the second border on, if you're going to put another border on, square up your quilt, please, because it will help it look better. Now, most of us aren't going to put on more than 3 borders, but whatever the last border is, if it's your 3rd border or your 4th or your 6th, I don't know, just make sure that then you do not square it up. You don't want to square up that last border until you get your quilting done. You want your batting and your backing to peek out several inches from under your quilt so that you can adequately quilt the quilt. Because your quilt is going to stretch and change a little bit. And you don't want to, I mean, it won't be square even if you squared it before you quilted. So that is my rule of thumb. Just square and square and square after your borders, and after the final one, do not square until you're ready to put your binding on, okay? Now, a little bit about cornerstones. We talked before about cornerstones inside the quilt. And your cornerstones, remember, can also be like 4 patches or 9 patches. You can get clever with them. They could be half square triangles if you want. But whatever it is, remember that you're putting your quilt together in vertical columns. So those cornerstones are going to go right in between your 12.5-inch sashing strips. And then they will fit on there perfectly. And the only way you're going to alter this is if you have a row, like maybe your top row are all blocks that are only 12 inches. Then just remember you've got to adjust that vertical sashing strip so that your cornerstones would fit in and make it 12 instead of 12.5. But this is the way you sew them together and then sew your columns together. Just treat those cornerstone columns as a column in the quilt and it'll go together just fine. Now, if you want to put cornerstones just on the outside corners of your quilt, then put your 2 side borders on the way I described it previously. And then the other ones, what I do, if my border is 4.5 inches, I cut 4 4.5-inch squares. And then I measure across the middle to get the length of that strip. And then I subtract 9 inches from the length of the strip. And then I sew the corners on each end. I subtract 9 inches because 4.5 and 4.5 is 9. And then I know what size to cut the actual strip, okay? So I take that away from the measurement that I measured across the middle. And it seems to work every time. You do want to do your best to line up the seams in the cornerstones on the, on each end with the seams of the border that is your side border, so that it looks like those cornerstones were meant to be. Like we didn't just throw them on haphazardly. So today I'm putting out there some things that you could do across the summer. Number one, of course, for me is to see you finish your blocks and get your quilt put together. I would love to have you get them done if you can before September or before October or before August. If we want to get together and show each other quilts, then it would be nice if we could actually bring our quilt tops rather than a box of quilt blocks. Because then we'll feel very prideful too. Number two, if you get bored in the summer or we have some rainy weather, look through some magazines. Find some blocks, a block, 1 block, 2 blocks, and see if you can dissect them. See if you can figure out what the grid is. See if you can dissect them and then put them together and see how independent you really are. And I encourage you to do this a couple times so you don't lose the skills that you have honed across the year. You want to keep at it if you can. Number 3, of course, is blow the whole thing away. You may just be tired of making blocks, and sleep in your hammock and have a good time, drink in the fresh air and take a deep, deep breath across the summer so that we're ready to go in the fall. The other thing is look for some fabrics that you're going to want to use in our Variety Show Block of the Month Club in the fall if you're going to be joining that. I saw today that there are 8 of you that have already signed up. I'm so excited. I'm busting my buttons. We will be meeting on Fridays next year, and the dates are here if you don't have them. The only way that they would be changed is if Alyssa says, oh, we have lined up an event and it's going to take that Friday. So then I'm sure she will reschedule us so that we will still meet. But these are the dates that she gave me a couple months ago. So we're good to go. Does anybody need to copy those down? I can wait a minute.
I am.
Uh-huh.
I just took a picture of it.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
well, you get it in the PDF too.
Yes.
Me too. You know what I like to try? Blocks that have 7 sections.
Yes, that's one of the blocks we're going to do. And yeah, I'm going to be working on that across the summer. And if there are any ideas that you ladies want to throw out there as blocks you want to learn how to do, then let me know, because I will put them into the schedule. Next week, we are going to have graduation, ladies.
Yeehaw!
Yeah. So that will be kind of fun. So that's my PowerPoint for today. I have another question, and probably this is, for me, it might be explanatory. I guess what I want to make sure of is, are you all comfortable with my keeping this as a Zoom class and not a class in person?
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
yes.
I like it
Yes.
this way better.
Yeah, I don't mind it like this because we can include people that live out of town and they can, enjoy this class with us.
Yeah.
Well,
And I don't want to haul my machine.
right.
I agree with both of those comments.
Yes.
Well, I think it's nice that we can include people from different places, and even if you travel someplace, sometimes you can still get on. Like when
Yeah, like in the car.
I just feel as though this is a good match for this particular kind of class.
Mhm.
And if
And
you're,
we can always come see you if we need to.
yeah, and maybe every once in a while, we could figure out how to do something where we get together, maybe once a quarter. We could put something in and connect if we need to do that, but they're going to start, they are starting to open the classroom up, especially for UFOs. And it's the kind of thing where if you were having a trouble, I might be able to have you come into a UFO. We could do something like that. And some of us could work together. So, yeah, I
I
just would.
think the one thing out of this pandemic that came out good was Zoom.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that. They're asking us to teach in classes, and I really have enjoyed teaching Zoom classes.
I think there's a lot of benefit to it.
Well, people listen better.
Really?
That, I believe that.
One of the complaints I used to have about teaching in-person classes was some people I would be trying to teach how to do something. Some people would already be walking to their machine and sitting down to start and sew before I'd even completed my directions and my tips, and it felt like they were half learning what I was there to teach. By doing it the way we do it on Zoom, people have got to listen. They can turn it off and go ahead and start and sew if they want to. But basically, they're still listening to what's going on.
It's less distracting too, Eileen.
Yeah.
It's less distracting.
I agree. The other thing that it takes out of it is the competition piece.
Yes.
Boy,
I'm always the last one to finish and I always get frustrated.
Yeah, me too.
Too.
Well, we're all last.
Yeah.
I still have 2 blocks to finish.
I do too, Diane. I have
Me
2
too.
more to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you can actually, with the recordings, you can, when you watch it again,
Yeah.
I learn more that I somehow missed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I haven't watched every one of them over again, but the ones I have, I've always picked up something that I missed or I didn't hear correctly. The
Yeah,
first
or
I forgot.
I took the foot class with Diane last week and I got an important phone call right in the middle. And I had to take the phone call. So I muted it and I'm answering the phone call. It was for our pond committee for our neighborhood. And it was a land surveyor. And I had to talk to her. But anyways, I was able to go back and look at the one foot that I missed, which was the one I really wanted to see, was the buttonhole foot.
Of course.
And I looked at that thing like 4 times in order to take the right notes and to make sure I knew what to do on my machine for using that automatic buttonholer, because I never used it. And I really would like to try maybe putting 3 buttons on the back of a pillow or something, just to see. And that was invaluable. And same thing with this one. When I missed something, I liked going back and double checking it. You can't do that with a live class.
No.
No,
I've never tried to look back on one of these recordings. I guess I should try that. I'm scared. When I come to computers, I kind of freeze. I'm like,
Yeah.
the same way as a sewing machine right now. I haven't even got it out. I'm too scared.
Oh no.
Oh, I know that feeling, Brenda.
It's just
How
sitting
long
here.
did I have my Bernina in my sewing room before I even turned it on?
Yeah, there it is. I see it.
Yes, it is.
Here it is.
So I'll get it out, especially if I know Eileen's in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna make you get it out. We'll have a little lesson.
What did
Yes,
she buy? What did she buy? I missed that.
I bought the Bernina 790 with the
Atta
embroidery.
girl.
I mean, not 790, 780 with the embroidery
Yeah,
module
yeah,
and bag.
you're gonna love it.
You
Yeah.
will.
I've never embroidered, so I have no idea.
Same here. I still
Uh-oh.
haven't. I've had my new machine as well for how many weeks now? I haven't even looked at the embroidery stuff yet. But I
No,
have to.
I
take
do have a
classes.
question. Did anybody embroider those reading pillows? Did you see what I posted?
Yes, I answered
Ask
you.
Audrey. She's done a million of
You were
them.
the one who answered me, right, Audrey?
Right.
And I went on Juju and I tried to get the one that's the poem. And for some reason, I couldn't even get on their website. I don't know what's going on. I tried it on my phone. I'm gonna have to try it on my laptop, but is that where you got like the teddy bear with the cloud and the moon? Did they
Yep,
have a,
those are animal critters, sleepy critters.
is that part of Juju?
Yep.
Okay, because I want to look there because we've got my cousin's little kids who are coming. They're all coming to celebrate my sister and my brother-in-law's wife's mother's birthday, 95 years old. So they're
Wow.
coming. Her birthday's on the 4th of July. So I got 5. I've got my grandson and 4 great nieces and nephews that I was thinking of doing something for them as a remembrance of this party.
Oh, nice.
And I'm thinking, okay, my flowers are almost finished. My patio's almost finished. I got 2 blocks to go. Maybe I can pull the embroidery out and embroider them all at once. Do they go fast, Audrey?
Yeah, they
The
embroider.
embroideries? I thought maybe I could embroider all 5 of the little poems and then that with their names on it and get that part done, and then putting the pillows together shouldn't be too bad.
No, that's super easy. There's a tutorial on YouTube. Juju's
I saw that. I saw
Juju's
that.
reading pillows. There are a couple of them. I have it down now because I did my little girl.
Want to
that
sew some together for me? I hope I have time.
I made 14 of them in a weekend.
I need 5.
Oh,
Easy.
you could do it, Diane.
I hope so. I made 12 Mondo bags. Remember those?
Whoa,
For the wedding, I made those for the bridesmaids and for everybody that was involved in the wedding, but she didn't want ones that were all the little squares. She wanted just the solid bags. And then I embroidered the first initial of each person on them. I think you maybe remember those from 2018. I think I did them. When did they get married?
Oh my gosh, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah, I made like 12 or 13 of those guys, plus 2 for myself. But I've had people tell me that they're still using them and they absolutely love them. So at least it was the present for all the bridesmaids and everybody that was involved in the wedding. So
That's great.
what size did you make, Diane?
the biggest one.
Oh, okay.
And then I had an alphabet, a real pretty simple alphabet. And I embroidered on one of the sides, the contrasting alphabet for the first letter of their name. They didn't want a monogram. She just wanted the first letter of their name. And then she and I went to Aurora and she picked out specific fabrics that each person would like. Like one of the persons
Wow.
loved strawberries. So we found strawberry fabric for summer. I think it was a Kimberbell fabric. I'm not sure, but we did strawberry with a red inside. And then I embroidered on the outside a big red letter for her first name, Elizabeth. And they loved them. They freaked out at the wedding when Stephanie gave them to them. So it was worth that. It was the whole month. I think it was the whole month of August that year. That's all I did was sew Mondo bags. I had it down to a science. So I'm going to try that with the pillows. So thank you, Audrey, for your help.
I will give you the measurements of what I did.
Oh, okay. Let me get a
And
pen.
while she's getting that, I want you all to think about what was the one thing that helped you most.
For me,
that's gonna be
I
so
have
hard
that
to pick
answer.
out one thing.
for me, I have that answer though. It was using the AccuQuilt, because I bought it years ago when they first brought it to the store, and it sat over there. And I actually pulled it out and used the 12-inch one, and I've saved my hand. So that for me was it. Plus
That's
working on getting the points right, Eileen, really the point tricks and those 1/4-inch seams.
Yes, the
I think
1/4
for
inch
me, it
seams
was the
were
1/4-inch
huge.
seams.
I can't imagine doing this without the cubes, because there's no way. I just thinking of all the little cutting that I would have had to do on this.
Yeah, that's me. Cut, cut, cut.
Oh my God. Well, I
Brenda,
give you all the
that's what I
credit in the
thought you
world, because
bought.
I can't.
I know.
I thought for sure it was an AccuQuilt. I thought for sure. I was almost gonna bet it, my whole quilt on it.
Good thing you didn't.
That's a good thing I didn't.
Well, and that's the next thing. Now you know.
Yeah, that's another year. I gotta
Yeah.
recover.
Well, I would love to see Brenda get even the small Go Me.
Yeah.
The baby one, yeah.
Because, and that's $100 and some, and you would still, and you get a cube with it, I think, don't you? At least
Yeah, there's a deadline for that, right?
Oh, they've always got deadlines.
Well, I was gonna put it on my Christmas list to my sons.
See if
I
they
think
come
that's a
up with
great
something
idea.
like the day after Thanksgiving or something. Maybe they'll have a good, what is that called? Black Friday event
Right.
or something.
Even across the summer, they
Yeah.
have sales all the time because they don't want people to just be out there gardening. They want their business.
Yeah.
So is it AccuQuilt.com they should go on?
Well, you can look there, but you want to order them through the store if you're going to be here in the area across the summer. Maybe what
I'm not gonna get it though. My sons are gonna get it. They just don't know it yet.
Tell them to call the store.
Yes.
Tell
Yeah,
them
we
to
can
call the
always
store,
call.
email them.
Gift card through the store. Call the store and tell
Yeah.
tell them to give you a gift card so you can use it for the
That's
AccuQuilt.
perfect idea, Helen.
we need to plot and plan a little, because you need to ask your son if he would give you your Christmas present early,
Yes.
so you could get it while you're in New York State, and then you'd be able to get it through the store easily.
Oh,
Yeah.
especially that 4-inch cube, boy. There's no way I'm cutting out those itty bitty things. I can't. There's no way. Every single one of them will slide. No matter what I do, I'll never get them right. Not with these. Remember, my tendons are cut. Okay, the fingers are. I have muscles in there, but I drop. I drop all the time. And carpal, this has been cut, and this doesn't work anymore. And
Yeah.
this one is getting there, and these knuckles are killing me. They're swollen and soft and mushy. And
Okay,
So which one do I get? Which cube do I get first? The 6 or the 8, or I don't know. What's the biggies?
I would get the 8 and the 6 first, and then the 4
and then
is
the 4.
get on down the line. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Joanne, was there anything in this class that was particularly helpful to you?
PowerPoint was great.
That
I
goes
was gonna
without saying.
ask about the
Yeah.
PowerPoints, because you started adding the PowerPoints to us like in December.
Oh, the PDFs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we don't have the first ones.
Do you want the first ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can still put those into PDFs and send them to you.
Do you
That'd
only
be
have 3
great.
days
Great.
with them?
Do I what?
Do you only have 3 days with them, the PowerPoints?
No.
No,
The PowerPoint, I can send you those in PDF. Or I can.
Print them out. Yeah.
And
So then I have to download them?
Yes.
You get them in your email. I'll send it to you in an email.
Well,
And-
I get them, but I don't ever do anything with them because I don't know what to do.
Okay,
Print them
if you
out.
open them, if you get them in the email and you open them, you click on that little thing that says what it is. If you click on that, your computer downloads it and it should pop up and say, what do you want to do with it? And then you save it.
Yeah,
And
then I
you-
say, I want you to do it.
The thing about the PDFs is it gives you the PowerPoint.
Okay,
So
Yeah.
if you want to go through the progression of what we've done, then everything is just on those. And if you have them in a file where you say, I've got them in a file where I've got a list of them, I can go back in there, I can click on them and I know what I taught. It's
Yeah.
really
That's great.
Mhm.
So, yeah,
Diane,
I can do the back of, let me make a note here.
Diane, I just sent you a friendship request on Facebook.
Oh, okay, let me look.
And then
I'm bad at this.
Then I can send you messages for where to
Okay,
go
hang on.
for those.
Let's see, it says reading pillow supply list, okay. I don't want to block you and I don't want to delete you. If you reply, Audrey Nader will also be able to call you. Okay, where do I reply? Okay, right there. Okay, yes, there it is. Okay,
Okay,
got it.
and I
It
sent you,
says you can now message. I see that. 16-inch pillow, 17 by 17, pocket 11 by 17. Thank you. Okay, so first I got it down. I gotta
Audrey is
go.
absolutely amazing with technology.
Yeah,
Like
and
technology
her
things, I go
pillows.
right to her.
You
How
know,
do
I
I do
remember.
this? How do I? send this?
I remember seeing all those pillows being made and going, oh my God, I would love to make one of those for Colton. And now we got another baby coming in November. The due date's November 7th. So, I mean, reading is a way down for that baby, but
That's a great Christmas present.
yes, and it's going to be a girl and they think they might name her Charlotte or Addison. So I won't do that part yet, but anyways, I was looking at those and when they said that we're having this party the 4th of July, I thought, oh my God. And the first thing I thought is, who is the person who did all those pillows? So that's why I put the call ask over the weekend. And within 10 minutes, Audrey, you were on there with the answer. So I am most appreciative because I was like, oh, here I go again, trying to make 5 of something again. And how am I going to get it done in the month of June? And I still don't know I'm going to be able to. I'm going to try.
then you
So,
go.
but
to-
thank you.
On Facebook, there's Designs by Juju,
Right.
embroidery blessings group. And every month she gives out the free embroidery file of the month.
Uh-huh.
And people post things that they've made with Juju's
Okay, I'm
designs.
writing this down. J-U. Yeah, I went on there and I went on and I tried to sign on and apparently I tried to sign on a long time ago and I put in a new, like a new thing to get on their newsletter and it said, we're sorry, somebody by that email has already tried. And I sat there trying to figure out what password or whatever I might have used. And it's not in my little notebook. So I'm going to have to start all over from scratch again. And that's what messed me up. So, but I do want to go there and get the stuff. Yeah, I see that. Just join, but okay, thank you.
Because her group is a private group.
Uh-huh.
That you have to just answer a couple questions to join her group.
Okay.
And then in the topics is reading pillows.
Yeah,
with-
well, see, it's funny because I'm looking at my emails and I have in here Designs by Juju, 11 new birth announcement templates now available, adorable bumblebees, heart stars, and more. See, I already signed up for it, but now I can't get in there because I can't remember my password.
No, that's her business
her-
page, but
right.
that's not the Facebook page.
That's not okay. Okay.
I want to and welcome Robin. She just popped in. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Robin.
Hello.
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in the
Yeah.
car.
I'm looking for, there you are.
Yeah. So Helen, what was one thing that really helped you?
I have to agree with Diane about the AccuQuill because I had that for a few months before I opened it. And also measuring before I added the next piece.
Yes.
Yes.
when I put together my half square triangles and then put together my flying geese, making sure that they are as close to the measurement they're supposed to be as I can get them.
Good.
And then the block ends up being what it's supposed to be.
Isn't that
When I-
amazing how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that-
you know, I just, when you cut the squares and the triangles, you just assume that when you sew them together, that they're going to be what they're supposed to be, but just shaving off a little bit here and there. And it really is just a tiny little bit. It
Yeah,
makes all the
that's-
difference.
That's like this.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, that's like this. I'm on those four corners of that one block. And I've been puttering around with those today, and I've got to put those four corners together on that one. And
Yeah, when you make sure that these are all
yeah,
they're supposed
that's
to be
it. Yeah, that's it.
before you sew them all together. And then this is supposed to be a certain size before you put it in the bigger block.
Oh, see, so you're working on the same one that I'm working
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
I got my center finished.
This
Yeah,
was
I
really hard. I
I have the center row finished. Here's my center row.
Yeah.
So I
I
got
like
that
putting this-
going.
I liked putting this one together, but it was really easy to get turned around.
It was, but there's my center. And see, I used that blue with the silver again, because I hadn't used anything fussy cut for a long time. But I've got the four corners done, ready to sew into squares. And I've got.
You know, Diane, maybe
These are
if-
done.
maybe silver would be really nice for sashing.
Everything's got, if you look at this close up, see, that is silver.
Right.
And on those, it's like a white, it's like white with silver sparkles in it. So there is a lot of that in it. It's real frosty looking. So
Diane, what you're going to have to do if you're thinking, if what you're talking about now is sashing, is
I'm clueless.
to figure out what is going to work well with the different backgrounds that you have on your squares.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to put in something that's going to wash everything out.
My main background is just that fairy frost. Well, you can't even see it on it's just the fairy frost, you know, the white with it's very dense. You can't see through it. And that's why I like to use fairy frost, because it's one of the white on whites that is very dense and you don't see other fabrics through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm at that point now where I have no clue what I'm going to put in between those, because it's such a limited color palette, monochromatic, except for the little throws of turquoise in there. So I don't know what I'm
How
gonna
do you audition? Like I've heard you talk, Eileen, about auditioning different fabrics. Like I don't have any pieces of fabric that I would want to use that's big enough now to put under 4 or 5 blocks that I could see it all together. Could we go into the store with, say, 6 blocks? Would they allow us to unravel half of a piece, you know, a thing, and audition different fabrics?
Yes.
That's how I'm gonna do it.
I think
Okay.
that's possible, especially now that things are easing up a little bit. Diane is here and she's nodding her head and saying yes. And so if she knows it and she's here and I'm not here, then she will understand what you're talking about. Otherwise, if you have anything, even if you have a red coat or a navy blue coat, and you can open that up and lay some of your blocks on it.
Okay.
What color is going to make them pop? Then when you come in, you kind of know maybe what you're looking for.
Jean, I need to come to your house and I need to staple them up to the wall behind your head. Because I'm thinking that the turquoise that's in these blue ones, that little bit might just be enough to zing it too.
Pop it
I'm
up,
gonna
yeah.
come staple them to your wall.
Okay. Come on over.
So Eileen, when we're looking at the sashing, because most of the blocks were like the 8-inch cube, would you use 2.5 inches for your sashing, or what would you figure for the width of your sashing?
Well, what guides me is how big I want my quilt.
Oh, okay.
In other words, if I have a quilt that is almost the size I want, and I don't want to put much of a border on it, I might use a narrow sashing. Like in Diane Dolan's quilt that I put up, she used a rather narrow sashing. It looks like maybe 1.5, maybe 2 inches. But if you've got a quilt where you're looking to get some extra room, then make it wider, 2.5 inches, 3 inches, you know, and
Okay.
then it's just a matter of what fabric you choose so that it blends in nicely and it doesn't dominate your quilt.
Okay.
You want it to kind of frame things and make them pop. You don't.
And I don't remember. We do it in columns with the sashing in between, and then we do long sashing for the long, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and that's all in these more recent PDFs, so you can look at that. Joanne, what was the one thing that you found really helpful?
I found actually the AccuQuilt, learning how to use it, but more about you learning how to sew with it, because I wasn't, when my blocks were off, I didn't realize going from corner to corner, I was more relying on my 1/4 inch foot, and my corners were all off. So now I just kind of use the corners on the AccuQuilt, and it's much better, which I realized until I was using it consistently. I figured out I'm obviously not following it right, you know.
Well, good, I'm glad you figured that out. That's helpful. Carol, what about you?
Well, I like learning some of the different tips and techniques. One of the first ones was it's okay to press the seam open.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever heard that, was that with this group. And then learning how to be more careful with my seaming and learning how important it was to the overall matching of seams and blocks. So
And best press.
oh, yes. Yeah, and I started using best press. I had some, but I hadn't used it much, and I started using it more.
But the dry iron too, not using steam.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a huge thing for me. That
Yes.
it never occurred to me to turn off the steam, you know, as I was burning my fingers.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
less stretch.
Yeah, and I did. I stopped using steam for my pressing.
Yeah.
seam pressing.
Yeah.
You will remember in the beginning when we talked about pressing the seams open that I said, you know, I press my seams open, but there's no reason why you can't even use a combination of that, because I know Diane does. She uses, she presses some open, she presses some to the dark, you know, depending on her designs. The nice thing about pressing them open is when you get your quilt put together and quilt it, you're going to find your quilt is a little softer. And when you quilt it, you're going to discover that you're not going over lumps and bumps because everything really lays pretty flat. So yeah, that's really helpful. I agree. The other thing about pressing your seams 1/4 inch is to remember that when you chain stitch, sometimes when we chain stitch, we can get floppy.
Mm-hmm.
And to make sure that that 1/4, you go slow enough so that even though you're chain stitching, that 1/4 inch is consistent as you come off of your triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you don't keep your points. They're gone.
Yes. Yeah. And then the presser foot pressure changing that. I had never heard about changing the pressure foot pressure for specific challenges. And
so it sounds like you're learning to use your machines a little differently too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so.
Good.
It makes you like the machine.
You what?
is it makes me like the machine even more instead of I'm not fighting with it.
Yeah.
And just those little changes.
Mhm.
Diane Dolan, did I teach you anything?
Of course. You taught me how to use my AccuQuilt
Oh,
because it was sitting here for about a year. And I thought, why did I do this? Now I know why I did it.
yeah, good, good, hooray. The thing about Diane is she's done so many of these quilt blocks and quilt, you know, block quilt sampler kind of quilts for a while that she's kind of an expert. I felt very honored to have her in the class.
Actually, I'm not that much of an expert. I have a wall hanging out here that I looked at, that I had, you know, cut out all the pieces and then quilted around it. And there's a lot of points that don't match. So I have that to remind me right outside the door, hanging in the hallway. Go, oh, that doesn't match right there. So I really didn't know.
You're probably the only one that recognizes that the points don't match, though. Everybody else looks at it like it's a computer.
My guess is that when you go back to the quilt blocks that you made in September, if there are any of those blocks where you say, I lost my points, I'll bet now when you look at it, you will see that those seams didn't stay consistently 1/4 of an inch, which means that maybe you can actually fix some of them if you need to.
I think it's a reminder of how much I've learned, though.
Yeah, I'd rather keep it as this, look how far I've come.
Oh my God. Your points all look beautiful now.
I had, other than Diane's intro to quilting class.
Same here.
And a log cabin that I did, but I don't consider that really piecing the way we're piecing now.
Yeah.
This was my first ever pieced quilt.
What was the one thing that helped you the most besides getting a new machine?
Just, I've learned so much across the 9 months.
Yeah.
It's hard to even quantify.
Yeah.
I had never made a flying geese before.
Oh, really?
Or half square triangles.
Here.
Well, you're an expert now.
Total movie.
Very
And now
good.
I find myself looking at quilts all the time, like on Facebook as I'm scrolling through and people post what they've made, and it's like, oh, I know how to make that block, and I know.
Yeah.
You gave me courage to use our AccuQuilt, Eileen.
Yeah, does that help you too, Jean?
Yes, it did. You know, I was one of the lucky ones. My children got me the AccuQuilt for my birthday and Christmas both, and I got the Go big one.
Oh, good.
So I was very fortunate, but I was afraid of it.
Have you been able to sew some of the blocks lately?
A little more. I'm just finishing up my therapy, so I'm doing pretty good.
Good, good.
Yeah, I got a lot of catching up to do, though.
Well, you've got time.
I do.
Yeah. So Robin, what was one thing that really helped you?
The 3x5 card.
The 3x5.
No, it just everything. I'm kind of like with Jeannie. I made quilts. My whole thing was the embroidery. You know, I was an embroidery freak. I did a ton of embroidery and made embroidered quilts all the time, but I've never pieced. And I did log cabins. I did simple things like that. But this is huge. This is nothing like I've ever done before.
Yeah, me either.
So
Now,
I'm gonna have to leave. I've got to get myself packed, or I'm not gonna get on that plane.
Oh, You're coming to New York?
I'm going to Chicago.
Oh,
She's going to her grandson's graduation.
oh, nice.
So I'm kind of excited. It was my first trip on the plane in a long time.
Mm.
Oh,
But
have-
I will leave, and it's been wonderful meeting everyone. I think I'd like to have their emails, their emails. It would be kind of nice to keep in contact sometimes.
Well, the other thing, Jean, is that we still have our Facebook page. So anytime,
Right.
so anytime you need anything from anybody, we can go in there and, ask.
Are you going to be with us next week? Or are you still going to be in
I'll be in Chicago, but I'm going to watch it over there.
Good.
So,
okay.
and the Facebook is new to me. I'm a little, I've got to learn how to post some things.
Yeah, we see the top of your head, not your whole
I know.
face.
So goodbye, and good luck, and I hope I get a chance to meet you in person someday.
Yes, we'd like to
Great.
meet you.
Okay. I hope we-
Helen, I have a question.
Sure.
Can you
Yes?
see, let's see here. Did you trim these before you sewed them together? Eileen, do I have to trim these before I sew them together?
That's
No,
this,
I
the
sewed
top
them
piece?
I sewed them together and then I trimmed the whole unit.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
because it's a teeny itty bitty tiny bit wonky.
That's all right. When you sew it together, I think that'll straighten out some.
Okay, yeah, this one has like, there's like a little, this one is the stretchy part, so it's given a little.
I
It's a
agree
little
with
bigger up here.
that. way.
Okay, those are the ones, those corners I have to put together. That's all that's left.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
I got caught by a phone
Bye,
call from,
Hi, Jean. We'll see you.
Bye,
Bye.
Jean.
Bye, Jean.
Hi, Jean.
See you. Thank you.
Bye.
I got caught
Bye.
by, that telephone was the person who was surveying our pond.
Now, I don't know if Irene is still here or not. Irene, are you there? Are you sewing?
I see her, I see her, I
Her
see her
room is
house.
there. Her room is
Her
there.
her room is there.
She's a busy beaver.
Yes, I know she is. I wanted to ask her if there was anything that was helpful to her.
I've never seen anybody sew as much as her and accomplish so many finished products.
Oh my gosh,
She is amazing.
You're gorgeous. Yeah.
Now, at the end, when I know we're a little away from this, but when we put this together, how do you actually quilt the sampler? Do you just do an all over pattern or?
Would you
Great
like,
question.
would you like me to talk about that next week?
Oh, yeah, that would
Okay.
be great. I just have nowhere to
Yeah.
start. No idea.
Yeah. I thought maybe I would see if I could come up with a few suggestions or ideas.
Names of quilters.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say.
I give up. I need help.
Oh, there's
need help.
Irene.
Quilt in the ditch, that's the only thing I've ever done in my life. So that's why I took that quilting class. And so I'm gonna try to be brave. Don't know that I'm not brave enough to go on this big quilt and do an overall yet, but the only thing I've ever done is stitch in the ditch to quilt.
Well, I've done a lot of littles, but I've only done 2 king size and I got this king size over here.
Irene, I'm curious about whether there was one thing that was particularly helpful to you in this class.
Where is she?
I can see.
There
the-
she is. I see half of you. There you are.
I didn't know you were talking to me.
you're a real sewing guru. And you took this class and made all these blocks. Was there one thing in the class that was helpful to you?
Paper piecing.
Okay.
I've never done paper piecing. So
So we got you turned on to paper piecing, or at least you know what it is.
it's not my favorite.
Me either.
Who
I
said that?
loved it.
I did too. I love it.
I like it.
Been doing it for years.
See, I'm still
Paper
challenged with it.
panache.
I've done it for one project.
Yeah, it is challenging, but fun.
I think I like the applique better. I think they're fun. I don't
You
know.
like the applique better? Okay,
I did a lot of applique. That's what I did for years. And then, so this is actually my first piecing of making of blocks and stuff, actually piecing a quilt. Because I would have said, oh, let's just throw a flower on it and and blanket stitch it on, you know, but this is hard. This is a lot harder.
well, now you're the only one in the class that did the rotary cutting. Were the
Oh.
were the directions okay for you?
They were good. They were great.
Okay, good.
Yep. Gee, I'm sorry, I'm the only rotary cutter.
I'll tell you, I'm amazed. I'm amazed at
I'm
your
am-
blocks when you rotary cut. I just,
I am impressed, Brenda.
Yes. Thanks. No,
amazing.
Yeah, I'm impressed that you did that too. But I also think it's important for all of you to have the directions for doing the rotary cutting, so that if for some chance you ever didn't have the use of your AccuQuilt, you could still cut blocks like these.
yeah.
Right.
Imagine your new class, you might not have people that have the AccuQuilt in your new class.
Oh yeah,
I have another rotary cutter or two.
I've already got 8 people signed up. I'm so excited.
Oh,
I've
good.
got
That's
8
great.
people in the new class.
I'm waiting to find out what days I'm babysitting.
But I mean, I've got 8 pieces and I've got 8 people signed up for the new number
But
one.
are they new people or are
Yes.
they us?
No,
No, it's for the number one she's talking, Diane.
Oh, the number
For
one
the class
class.
that we just finished, she's doing it again
Oh.
in September.
And it's,
That's
Oh.
exciting.
it's only June and I've already got 8 people, so I'm excited. And
That's why we have to share on not the block of the month, but the sewing, the Aurora
Aurora
sewing, yeah.
Behind the scenes.
That Facebook page, we have to share our blocks and our progress and everything on that, so that non-blockheads get to see what we did and they.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we blockheads now? Okay. We're the Aurora blockheads. That works. I like that.
your blockhead's all right, I'll tell you. Oh dear. Well, the more you put out about it,
I guess.
and the more they see that this is a class they don't want to miss, then I begin to get people to signing up. So yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Is that how you've gotten all of them? From seeing us? Is that how you've gotten them? From seeing us?
Yeah, across the year, yes. And I have had people write to me and say, you know, they want to get into our page and I have to decline them and say, always send them a message and say that this is an extension of the classroom for us. And that if they want to get into the September group, that then they will have access to a block of the month page for themselves. And so sometimes I don't know if they're offended by that or not, but
Is there a way that, well, I guess Audrey, Jean answered the question. We should post our finished quilts or our blocks on the Aurora site so they can see it. That would be, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
But if you can also share it on behind the scenes,
Yeah,
then it plants seeds, let's put it that way.
yeah.
And the seeds will begin to grow and they might say, you know, that's something I'd like to try in the fall. Yeah, I'm hoping to get as many as we have in this class because there is something to be said for having a good group.
How many do we actually have in this class? Because sometimes, doing it on Zoom, I don't see everybody, like it's,
right.
not everybody is across the top of my thing.
Right.
I have to use the arrow to see other people, and I never got a good sense of how many people are in this class.
We actually have 17 names.
Wow.
Sandy Michael, she started out with us. Remember, she put up some black and red blocks back in the beginning, which she was a COVID nurse, and
Oh, yeah.
we kind of lost her across the year. And then Sue Lear is another one. She's got her plate very full with taking care of all the people that she takes care of. So She kind of has the recordings and I hope is going to catch up a little bit. Lorraine is, she works on Thursdays often like Audrey does, and so she can't be here. You know, she's been here sometimes. She's the one that does the purple and black.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She's going to be able to be in it next year because it'll be on Friday.
Great.
Oh, okay.
And
I'm hoping I don't babysit on Fridays.
then my sister.
Yeah, I hope so.
joined us.
Yeah.
And I'm only making one quilt next year.
Well, the other thing is because we're making a variety of different blocks, you may choose not to do a quilt. You may choose to do a variety of table runners or table toppers or wall hangings. Me, I'm going to put it all in a quilt because I like to do that. I like to have quilt changes if I can.
Well, I went to the Aurora Center in Aurora, and
Oh,
these are my,
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
this is 11 1/4 yards. I finished the bolts. But what I'm gonna do is they're the same fabric, but the backgrounds are different, like the two in that other Christmas quilt that I did. But this way I can have a blast with every color under the
Oh my
sun.
goodness, I love, those are so my personality.
Aren't they pretty?
Oh, I
fell in
love
love
them.
with these. And thank you, Diane, for helping me. You're sitting by Eileen. She knows, she was with me. She's probably rolling her eyes at me right now, but she helped me with these.
Your
And
head.
we picked out the fabrics.
That is gorgeous.
So aren't they just spiffy? I just
That's
love
stunning.
'em.
Beautiful.
That one, I love that one on the light background.
Oh, stunning.
Yeah.
So there they are. Those are my colors. I have no clue what I'm gonna do with them, but there they are.
Even if you cut some of those flowers up into small pieces for blocks. they
Here's
still-
my pile.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at it. Audrey is getting hers picked out.
Where are you, Audrey? Let me see if I can find you here. Oh, yeah. Oh, I was with
Oh,
you. Take those
boy.
out.
Those are beautiful, Audrey.
yeah.
Black, whites, and reds, and some silvers and grays.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Wow. And
some
she
of
can
them,
use, you can use a solid red with that and solid white and solid black and really go pop. Wow.
And solid gray even.
Yeah, gray too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a ton of gray and whites that I was looking at,
Oh, it swirls. Yeah.
and I have some leftover stuff. I'm just like all these. Lots of fat quarters, and
I've got to figure out what I'm going to do.
it'll
I-
really
Same
be
here.
I have all different colors. I tried to go bright this time. I have all different, I don't know if you could see them.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow,
Yeah.
purples. Hopefully it won't be a mess. I just thought I'd go really bright this time because this one is, the one I did this time is really, real subtle and calm. But this one won't be, I don't think.
I can hardly wait to see all your blocks laid out together.
I
She
can't
saw
wait.
mine.
They look
The
beautiful.
ones I've seen on Facebook have been absolutely gorgeous. Every one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every
Yes, they
one of
have.
them.
It's so fun to see how different they all look, though. It's going to be so fun in August to get together and see, even if we could all have just our tops done, to bring it together and say,
Right.
look at what it looks like all put together.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, I'm hoping for some good names, Eileen, of some people to help me quilt mine, because that's the only way I'm gonna get them finished this time.
Hey.
That's
Well,
the
I'm gonna
only
do
way.
some research into that.
Well, I won't be able to be there in August.
Oh,
Oh,
So I would appreciate when you get together, pictures, maybe post pictures on the Facebook behind block of the month.
Definitely.
Zoom you.
yes,
Zoom
we can.
We can Zoom you.
We'll have
we-
to.
no,
we
we can't.
Figure out where you want to get together too. Do you want to do this at a picnic place? Do you want to do it at somebody's house? Do you want to do it out at camp? I mean, you know, what?
Maybe someplace where we could put up like a big clothesline
We
so
could-
that we could hang them
Mm.
Yeah.
instead of laying them on like a dirty picnic table.
Wow.
Just saying.
We could do that.
Okay.
One of the things I can do is talk to them at our campground and see whether or not we could have access to an area so that if it rained, for example, we could get in underneath something.
That'd be awesome.
It takes about a half an hour to get out here. I mean, out to the campground. Is that too far or would you?
No,
come?
I would
Yeah.
carpool.
I would
I'll
go,
drive
yeah.
anybody. I've got
That's
it. I can
awesome.
fit 4 in my truck.
If you joined together, then you wouldn't have to come all alone.
Where
Yeah.
is your campground?
It's out near Darien Center.
Oh, that's easy.
About
Okay.
about 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's Skyline. If you look up Skyline Campground and Resort.
In carpool.
Are you
Yeah.
closer to Buffalo or to Rochester?
It's going toward the Buffalo or going toward the Rochester area. It's going toward Leroy, going toward Batavia.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're closer to Rochester Airport than the Buffalo Airport? That's my bottom line of my question.
Actually, it's about equal, isn't it?
It's about in the middle, Carol.
Yeah.
All right.
If you- If you
Could we
don't-
do something like maybe Chestnut Ridge Park under one of their,
Yeah, that's an option.
I mean, I don't know how close it is to everybody. It's like a 20-minute, 25-minute ride for me, but I mean, it depends on where everybody, you know, I'm flexible. I'll go wherever.
Me too.
Yeah.
Anyway, put it in your thinking cap. What I will do is I will talk to the powers that be out at camp and see whether it's an option for sometime in August.
Could we do something like even 14 Holy Helpers? Could we even do something like in there? Or do we have to pay to go in there?
We probably would have to pay.
Nah, forget that. Yeah.
How about how about either the Easter Roar or Williamsville store on a
As you say,
Sunday?
on the front lawn,
Big enough?
Yeah.
their lawn.
I wonder if I talked to Alyssa, if we could do it at one of the stores
Maybe, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
When the store isn't always open on Sunday, at least at the moment. I don't know if it will be in the summertime. But what does that do to you as far as your weekend goes?
It's fine.
That's great.
Fine for me.
Yeah.
One Sunday isn't gonna kill us. I mean. Sunday, and it's a well worth Sunday.
And
Yeah.
Williamsville has that nice porch and a big front lawn.
And don't they have don't they own some tents? Don't they have tents there, Eileen? Don't they have those canopy tents?
Okay, well, I don't know. I would have to talk to Scott about that.
Yeah.
Well,
When we painted those barn quilts, we were under tents. Remember, that was really nice out there. It was hot, but it was really nice out there.
What was it in the back or?
No, it was in the front on the front lawn in Williamsville.
Oh, I've never been to Williamsville store, so I don't know.
Well, we painted the barn quilts outside on the 24-inch wooden pieces
Oh,
of wood, and we were under 3 tents, I believe, 2 or 3 tents.
it could
But
be.
it was hot, but it was nice under the tents.
Could be good advertising for Scott if we could figure out how to do something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will do a little investigating and a little talking, and then at our next meeting, maybe I'll have something more. to put out
Yeah,
there.
and you know, Eileen, if it's something like Chestnut Ridge Park or Stiglmeyer Park or something, I know you have to reserve.
I know.
You have to reserve it, and I don't know, I don't even know if there's a cost. I couldn't even answer that. But I know you have to reserve because Andrew and Stephanie had their baby shower for Colton in August. at Chestnut Ridge Park, and I know they had to reserve the, the one little site that they were at. So I know you have to reserve it. So that
I'm
would be
sure
the
there
only
is a
thing.
cost too.
You think? I don't
Yeah.
know. I have no idea.
I'm sure there is.
Yeah, if we had it
Makes
at the shop,
sense.
it would be a real graduation though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tell them we expect caps.
Quilted caps. Quilted caps.
I haven't got time to do that.
I guess they're mortar boards or something.
Yeah.
Definitely diplomas, Eileen.
Yeah, really.
Definitely diplomas. We are master's degrees in quilting block of the month creations or something like that.
Yeah.
Master blockheads.
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
So are-
Masters of blockhead making.
Are
Yes,
any of you going to sew today, or don't you need to sew?
I am. I'm finishing this one. I gotta try. I gotta go pick up the plans from the surveying company for our, we've got this big pond on our property. If you know where I live behind the Target and Wegmans on by Maple. There's the Maple, there's the Lowe's and the Target and the Wegmans Plaza. Well, I live on the street behind Target. It's Lord Byron Lane. And when Murano Builders built our neighborhood, they somehow, we ended up with the responsibility of the retention pond for the water that comes out of Target and Wegmans and Addie's parking lots.
Oh,
Wow.
And our culvert that exits the pond and goes into drainage ditch number 26 for the town of Amherst is collapsing.
Oh, boy.
And if it collapses, water's gonna back up into all 61 houses. And our sump pumps won't work and our nothing will work. So I've been fighting with this, not fighting, but I've been working with these boards for the last 10 years as the pond person, trying to get them to plan ahead. And I've had estimates done to repair the riprap, to repair the banks of the pond where they're collapsing. And we've got muskrats burrowing into the pond, into the banks and collapsing the banks. And we had Frank's irrigation put riprap in, which is really not riprap. They did a terrible job. They don't do it anymore, but the banks are collapsing. And I've had estimates anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 to repair our pond. And we have no money because none of our boards have been increasing the dues every month to put money aside to take care of this pond. So we are now beautiful houses, nice Murano houses, but the pond is a disaster and Target and Wegmans are reluctant to help us, even though it's all their water. So that's what I'm dealing with. That was that's the phone call I just got today. They're giving us the site survey that was done in the 80s and 90s that shows the Murano development before it was built, but nothing since then. So I'm trying to get them to give us an estimate to do a new survey, and they will actually tell us what we have to do to the pond as far as big boulders and stones and everything, and how to fix the culverts and how to do everything. And we have a company named Catco right now out of, I think, Depew or Cheektowaga, that I have to take the plans over to today. And they're going to give an estimate to fix this culvert because the two pipes are collapsing in the middle. And I climbed in there and took a video of it, and it's
Be careful
collapsing.
it doesn't collapse on you.
Well, I was yelled at by Infrasteel company to not ever go in there again. But I had to get a video of where the water is going under the pipe. And we think we have a big sinkhole underneath the pipe.
Oh,
So where, I've been dealing with this now for 2 months. It's kind of been, if I wasn't outside planting flowers and putting down mulch, I was over at the pond with companies that do Lake Erie and Lake Ontario and Erie Canal and the Finger Lakes shoreline restoration, if like all along Lake Erie after all these people lost their backyards and everything. Well, I've had those companies here looking at our pond, and none of them will touch it without a new site survey, and the new site survey is about $4,000 or $5,000. So we're going to have to assess the people in the neighborhood because our idiot boards for the last 10 years haven't raised the dues so that we could set money aside to take care of the pond. So now hindsight is always 20/20, but when you tell them stuff and they don't listen, that's where we are right now. So that's what I'm doing. So
You need to talk to,
anyways.
you need to talk to Channel 4 about Target and Lowe's.
Target sent it to corporate, but Lowe's says, show me the numbers. So when I get the site survey amount, cost estimate, if it's $4,000, we can say, okay, we need a new site survey, you got to chip in. And if I had one estimate to repair the culvert for $11,860, which would have been $194 a house. And the board president said, I'm not going to ask everybody to give $194. I says, well, would you rather have all our basements flood? So, I mean, this is the mentality of, unfortunately, of the 3 retired elderly gentlemen that are running our neighborhood. And you guys know me, I'm a big mouth and I'm a go-getter, and I'm not going to tolerate them not fixing things, infrastructure stuff in this neighborhood where it puts 61 houses at risk, you know? I mean, seriously, would you all pay $194 to save your house?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, hello, see?
That's peanuts, yeah.
So, well, the problem is now the bid that we had from a company called Rock Western New York, who does Lake Erie, Lake Ontario, the Erie Canal and every Finger Lakes. They gave us the bid for almost $12,000, but they're not union. they're just a restoration company for shorelines. Well, the companies now that I have to deal with are all union. So I am fearing that the estimate that they're going to give me once I take them the plans, the old site survey, is going to be maybe double that. And you know what? And what that's going to be is, guys, you had your chance. And now we're doing it through the unions in Buffalo. And now we have to pay nothing there. I'm not against the unions.
Who's making you go union?
Well, what we did is we did the estimate for Rock Western New York, and the board said, we're not fixing the culvert, because he went and saw the guy who's in charge of the town of Amherst, and he said, don't worry about it. And somebody telling me, don't worry about it, wait till it collapses, is not the answer. Right. The answer is to fix it now and find out what's going on under the pipe where the water's draining, and see and get that fixed to give the 61 houses in here peace of mind.
So there's no reason why you can't go with that guy not union.
Yeah, but his bid was good for 30 days and it expired. So now we have to get him to do a new bid, and knowing them, they're going to jack it up another $5,000 because they were ready to do the job. So if it's a union job, I'm figuring it's probably going to be almost double. And then I can afford $400. Geez, if I can buy AccuQuilt dyes, I can afford $400 if I, to save my house. From having my sump pump back up, because the 2 drainage pipes that go into our pond service the 14 sewers out in the street and our 61 houses sump pumps. So when it rains, our rainwater goes in there as well. And Morano really screwed us over by giving us the onus of this pond, and they gave Target and Wegmans easement rights to drain into there in perpetuity, the contract says. And
you still have some issues with the town though, and their engineering department, their drainage people.
Yeah, but you know what the problem is? We own the pond and it's not a public pond, so they won't help us. Town of Amherst will do nothing. The man, his name is Tim Lucy. He's in charge of 93 miles of the drainage canals that go everywhere and eventually go into Niagara River, Ellicott Creek, and all of that. He's responsible for all of that. And I had him down here, and he said, and I quote this, honey. He called me honey. He said, honey, he said, this is your problem. He says, you own the pond, and there's an ordinance that was put in 2010 and 11. If something happens to any one of their drainage ditches because of negligence on the part of homeowners or associations, we can be held liable. So if something drastic happens at that, where that collapses, and then it affects their drain ditch, they can sue us. So
but they gave permission to Lowe's and Target to drain into your pond.
Yeah, but Morano bought it. So that's why we're trying to get Wegmans to help. Wegmans said, we'll help you, but show me the numbers. So if I can give them, let's say the written estimate, a copy of the written estimate from Catco for $20,000 to replace and repair that. And if I can give them a bill, an estimate bill from GPI Surveying Company to for $4,000 to do a new survey of the whole pond, they once they have the numbers, I think they're going to contribute.
Yeah.
But Target is kicking the can down the road, and they're putting us off. But yeah, it's I've learned, you would not believe what I've learned in the last years being this pond chairman. I mean, we've got muskrats in there now that they're going 20 feet up into the bank, and they have blowholes where they come out, where they get air holes for circulation.
In my pond at camp, and they
Yeah,
can,
well, the muskrat, the destruction, Eileen, the destruction they've done to our pond is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. The
and I
collapsed
just
banks
want you
because
to
of them.
know that they did that to my pond, and my dam collapsed.
There you go. See?
I lost my lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's what we're dealing with now. We've got, and where this one pair of muskrats are, their air holes that are coming up out of the ground where they burrow, the grass dies right above it. So you can see all their trenches, all of their tunnels all over. And then you see the blowholes all over where they come out. And John and I went down there last Saturday with 3 buckets of dirt, and we filled all the holes. The next day they were all popped open again. So we know that they're actively living in there. And they collapsed a section of our bank last fall that 5 people could sit in. So they just filled it all with dirt, and it looks beautiful when you drive around Lord Byron. If you come behind Target and Wegmans, you drive on our street, you look at the pond and you go, oh, isn't that pretty? Until you look at the pond. So that, believe it or not, ladies, is what is keeping me awake at night, thinking about what I have to do with this pond, with my pond committee and everything. And John was the first board president in here when we first moved in, and he got the entranceway built, the brick walls, and we got the first goose fence put in. And I had a license all the way up until about 2014 to oil eggs and kill geese and trap, with a trapper, but our neighborhood had to have a license to do this. And so now hopefully one of the board members is smart enough to get a license, or we're violating the DEC regulations when we go in to trap these animals. But the tunnels that they got in now are about 3 feet away from our road. So if they go under the road, which I hope they won't, but if they go under the road, they're not going to find a place to do a blowhole, an air hole. So they'll stay in the bank. But I'm expecting that entire maybe 20 foot by 20 foot section of the flat area of the bank to just completely collapse when they drive over it with a lawnmower, because of all the tunnels that are in there. So that's what I'm dealing with. So that's why I haven't been sewing the last 3 weeks. I've been outside.
Wow.
So anyway, so Eileen, hearing what you just said makes a difference too with your dam collapsing. The muskrats are awful.
Yep. It was really pretty bad, and it was right before I sold the place, and which was a confirmation to me that I was leaving at the right time. And the guy who came in and bought it, he hasn't done anything with the property, but he did rebuild the dam. And what he ended up doing was putting like a drain in the middle of the lake. So when the water gets a certain height, it goes like down that drain and then down.
Must be some kind of a pressure drain, a water pressure drain. Yeah. Well, here's a funny anecdote. We had the rain last Friday, right? And I was online and talking on and off for over 4 hours with a gentleman from Alabama called Infrasteel. And then I located him through somebody else who said, check this guy out. Well, he gave me the names of Acadia, Catco, and Union Concrete and Building here locally that he deals with. But he asked me to go down in the pouring rain and look at the condition of the pond and take pictures for him. So I went down and our pond was 1.5 feet higher than normal. The exit culvert, the big black plastic things are collapsed in because the riprap is falling and the muskrats are in there somewhere. And the water was 1.5 feet high and nothing was going out of this culvert. And I was like, pardon my language, but what the hell is going on? Why isn't the water draining out of this? It's getting higher. It was pouring out and it was 1.5 feet higher. You can now see the line it left on the south bank of all the debris. And I walked over and climbed to the exit part where it's going into the drainage ditch for the town of Amherst, and nothing was coming out but about a 1.5 inch trickle on the bottom. I was like, where's all this water going? Why isn't it going through this pipe? What is going on? It's a 24-inch diameter pipe and nothing was coming. So, I sent a picture of that to the board president and said, you need to be aware that this culvert right now is not draining. And I was thinking, oh my God, it collapsed in the middle and the water can't get out. I had no idea. So Saturday morning, John and I went down there and we found out that the idiots that do our lawn mowing, they don't like to do the east bank behind Wegmans because it's on a big slope and they can't get a lawnmower there because it's too steep. So they wait till it gets up to their waist and then they weed whack it. Well, it was windy on Friday and it all blew into the pond and blew all the way down and it clogged up the pipe. It got caught in the pipe and it was like a giant cork. And I have pictures of the water pressure must have gotten so high and so high on the pond side that it shot this plug. I'm guessing about 4 to 5 feet long and 24 inches in diameter of grass and debris out into the drainage ditch. So now it's out laying on the other side of the pond culvert and it's all over the drainage ditch that belongs to the town of Amherst. And I'm not going to go clean it up, but I took pictures of it. And I sent the picture to the board president saying, you want these guys to wait a month before they weed whack back here and then they leave it all to rot and you're going to let them do that again in the culvert? So this is the kind of mentality that I'm dealing with these people where we got 61 houses here that they're expensive houses. I mean, the ranches are like 300,000 and the bigger houses are maybe 425. We're big Murano houses here. And, I pay a mortgage through my nose every month, but, they're going to allow these places to flood because of them not doing this. I said, Eileen, I agree. I'm shaking my head and you're shaking your head because I'm just beside myself. And my committee is like, why aren't these people doing anything?
One of the things I would be doing is making sure I don't have anything that's going to get hurt by flooding waters.
In my basement? Well, hello. I'm down here. Look at what I got down here.
I know. Well,
I've got 3 sewing machines down here. I've got all my fabric down here. I've got, and we are the only house out of 61 in here. I have flood insurance. It's through FEMA and I pay about $600 a year for it. And it covers my whole house. The maximum coverage for a FEMA flood insurance policy in this part of New York State is $350,000. And I pay I have the full coverage. And I'm the only one out of 61 houses that has it.
One of the reasons I say something like that is that my husband likes to watch YouTube on TV. And there are a whole lot of YouTube videos out there of abandoned mansions, $1 million homes. They're gorgeous, where people look like they walked right out and just left everything there. And you say to yourself, well, why isn't somebody buying this? But they go all through the whole place and then they go down to the basement and there's 3 feet of water in the basement because they turned on all the electric. Well, if you have something like this and you have 3 feet of water in the basement, you're really going to be in a mess.
Yeah. And see, this board doesn't get it. And John and I went down and saw the board president. He lives right across from the pond. He looks at that mess every day. And we said, his name is Sebastian Foti. We said, Sibby, if something happens in here because you're refusing to do anything, we are going to hold you personally responsible for negligence. And John is adamant about that because he does disaster restoration all the time. And he does fire, flood, and hurricanes and everything. And that's what he does. And he does it on grand scales. They're working in Port Charles, Louisiana, because of the 2 hurricanes that destroyed Port Charles. And he is in charge of the Capital One building there, which is 37 or 38 stories high. They're drying it out. They're cleaning it. They're getting it ready so that the renovators can come in and do all their work. But so he knows this, and he told Sibby this. He said, you're putting all 61 of us out at risk because of your complacent attitude to this drain down here. So I'm hoping Catco is going to do the job. I'm going out to see them this afternoon. I'm taking the plans. I got to go to GPI, pick up the plans, got to take the site plans over to them, and I got to get an estimate from them. And I'm hoping that they'll put us on their docket. And we tried Acadia. Acadia is the company right now, I believe, that's doing all the piping, all the pipe work, all the new drainage on Maple Road up here that you see all being done. And Acadia, they told me on Tuesday that it's too small of a job. And then Union Concrete and Construction said they think it's too small of a job too. But when I sent the videos and the emails to the man who owns Catco, he said, he says, we'll help you.
Oh,
So
really?
they're the only company that's local to Western New York that is going to help us. And I don't care if they charge us $25,000. I don't care if they charge everybody in the neighborhood. I want security in my house. And if they don't agree to do it, then if something ever happens, I am going to hold this homeowners board, the 3 people on it. You can't sue them personally, but you can sue the homeowners association board.
Yeah.
And they're going to fix my house because I'm not going to pay a penny to fix it, even if I get insurance.
Have you ever thought about talking to Channel 2? They have that Channel 2 on your
Yeah, I know,
side.
on your side. Well, that's the thing is, we can try to get these people off the board. If we can get these people off the board, then we might be able to make a change.
Take you. That could
I don't
take
know.
a long
I don't
time.
know. Well, we didn't have a yearly meeting last year because of COVID. And now we're pushing them to do a meeting this year so they can tell everybody what's going on. And the minutes that came out from their meeting on the 19th of May, they put in the minutes specifically for everybody in the neighborhood to see what my committee has found and what they are attempting to try to do so that it gives the people in the neighborhood an idea like, oh, we're going to have to spend some money to fix this up. And so, but the problem is, like Springbrook Shores, which is out in off Rice Road in Alden, they've got 150 homes in there. They have a 6-member board. They collect $217 a month in dues, and they have a working budget for emergencies of 150,000 plus. Haverford, which is the street behind us, which was the phase 1 of this they have 42 houses. They have $300 a month dues, and they have over $150,000 in working funds to repair their road, replace the mailboxes, and do anything infrastructure wise over there. We have 61 homes. We pay $220 in dues. It was $198 until this year. We have no money in a working budget at all, nothing, zero, zero. They make it from month to month with what we collect, and we have nothing in reserves to replace our mailboxes when they rot out, to fix any dead shrubs that are in the electrical areas, and we have no money to do anything to this pond. And I have been telling them for 10 years to raise the dues so that we can start setting money aside, and we don't want to do that. And now they have no choice. They raised it from 198 to 220 just to cover, like, we need our road resurfaced. It's loaded with cracks and it's a mess. we need the new top coating on our road, and they're putting it off now until October, and it's too cold in October. It might be snowing in October. So, you know, they don't have any working money. They're poor managers. And these people in the neighborhood don't care. They just elect whoever runs, and they don't know what's going on, and they don't care. They go about their business and they pay their dues, and you know, they don't do anything.
Good luck to you. I hope it works out.
Well, that's what I'm in. So what are you sewing, Eileen?
I'm working on that swoon block. I'm working on that.
Okay.
All right, can I
I
get some
haven't done
guidance?
that. I haven't done that one yet.
Can I get some guidance here?
Yes, you can.
I'm thinking about this Tutti Frutti border,
Yes.
and I looked it up, and it said the shape 3 on the 12-inch cube makes 6-inch finished squares.
Okay.
And each border is a 4-patch. So that
Does
means
it-
I have like a 12-inch border around the quilt, right?
That, well, if it's making 6-inch blocks, then it would be that particular border would be 6 inches.
Right, well, no, because it's a 4-patch using 4 6-inch finished
No.
squares.
No, I don't think so. Wait a minute, let me go get the book.
I can't even think that far ahead until I find out fabrics.
I think you're right, Audrey, because you need the 2 levels of blocks
Right.
to make
But
that.
don't they go straight?
What was the question? Because I walked away to put something in the refrigerator and I didn't hear your question, Audrey.
I'm looking up the Tutti Frutti border.
Right.
Because originally I thought if I make my quilt top right now, it's 60 by 60. And I'm great with that. And then large borders on the all around it.
Mhm.
And originally I had thought I would just use my flowered fabric as a big wide border.
Okay.
But then I have enough fabric probably to use up to make the Tutti Frutti border instead.
That would be pretty.
So the way I'm reading it is it says you have to make,
What I can't remember is on that die. If you have the die, I would be curious what it is. I can't remember because I'm not at home. How big those 3, oh, wait a minute.
it says to use shape 3 from the go.
And it makes a 6-inch block.
If you use the 12-inch cube.
Yes, but I think I want to say that it's a 6-inch block with the 4 half-square triangles in it. In other words, I think they each are
No.
3 inches. Well, I made one and I don't remember it being 6.
No, because I looked on the cube itself and it says the size 3 cube in the 12-inch cube. The size 3 cube, which is 2 half-square triangles, makes a 6-inch finished square. And each of these is a 4-patch.
Okay. Okay.
Right, so it would be 12 by 12.
Wow.
They aren't that big.
But don't you just use the 4-patch in a long skinny row? Eileen, isn't that what yours was? Triangles all the way down?
Yes, but here's the, you're making this. And I thought that this whole thing comes out to be 6 inches. I don't think each one of the half square triangles is 6 inches. I think,
Two put together is 6 inches.
okay, so each one of these blocks is 6 inches. And then what you do is you lay them out next to each other. You know, like so.
Right.
So, but it's 6 inches, right? This should be 6 inches, that width, not 12 inches.
No, it's 6 inches each for each half square triangles put together.
Then you need to use a smaller triangle.
Then
Not-
that's too big.
Yeah, you need to use a smaller triangle.
When I did mine, I don't think it was.
The 8-inch cube makes 4-inch finished squares.
I'm gonna have to look when I go home because I made it. I have it on a quilt. I put it on, I'll tell you which quilt I made. It's in that book. I made, which one? Let me find it. 'Cause I loved it.
Let me see. I have some.
I just think it makes a 6-inch border.
I think I have a bunch of triangles left. Let's see here. Shape 5.
I can't remember which one I did.
All right, I have a bunch from the left over here.
The fact of the matter is you couldn't make it with, well, the other thing is, let me look and see the number on.
Eileen, I have a question. When you put something like that together, how do you know if it's going to end up being the right size finished when you connect it? When you connect all the pieces, like Audrey has a 60-inch block. How do you know when you do those that they're all, if it's going to come out to 60 inches, so it'll fit the side of her
Well,
quilt?
if one of those, each one of those sections is 6 by 6. Then
So she has 10 sections then?
I would measure my quilt and see how many sections would fit in there. And if it doesn't fit, then I would either adjust the size of the half square triangles and make a different size, you know.
Yeah.
That sounds hard.
It does. It's a little fancy dancing. That's what I call fancy dancing. Let me go see if we've got that die here. What shape? 5509. Let me go look. I'll be right back. 5509.
Yeah, because I put 4 together from the 8-inch cube makes 4.5 inches square. So that should line up with each section of the block, right?
Well, what did you say? Each 4-inch square makes how much?
4 sets of half square triangles together makes 4.5 inches finished.
Finished
Yeah, well,
or unfinished?
it's 5 inches unfinished.
Because how are you going to divide that? Then your 60-inch quilt doesn't divide out evenly.
I know. they're not gonna match up, right?
Right.
But if I have a 12-inch block, right, each block is gonna be 12 inches finished. And then I would have 12 inches finished for the border. So each 4-patch would match up with each block.
I'm doing it on my calculator. Say that again. You're,
If my half square triangles in the 12-inch cube make a 6-inch finished square,
mhm.
and my blocks make a 12-inch finished square,
Then that adds up.
then they'll match up. Two 4-patches per block.
Right.
All right. In the book, it says the Tutti Frutti border on 76, if you've got that book.
Right, so I have in front of me.
But it
What is
says
the name? The book is that go outside the box?
that's outside the,
Okay.
on page 76, it says at the top, follow these directions for 6, 8, and 9-inch cubes.
I know.
Okay. Well, you were talking about the 12-inch cube, and I know there's
Well-
a guy in there for the 12-inch cube. But if you wanted to make, what I'm saying is, what if you wanted to make smaller half square triangles, you could do it with the 6, 8, and the 9-inch, and you would just have to figure out what your unit would measure.
Well, that's what I just, like, I just put together from the 8-inch cube makes a 2-inch finished square.
On the
So-
8-inch cube, it makes a 2-inch, no.
Shape, oh, no, that's shape 5.
You're
not
using-
the
You're
2.
using the half square triangle
Yeah,
die,
that's the 5, not the 3. Hold on.
not the small triangle.
Yep, I need the different one.
I can't remember what number that is.
Shape 3 and the 8-inch makes a 4-inch finished square. So it would be 8 inches across. Or, no, it would be,
See, I would have to take scrap fabrics. I'm not that good with math. I take scrap fabrics, I cut them up, and I like
All out.
put them together and measure them, and then I say, okay, that's the size that I'm gonna get.
Well, wouldn't be if it's 4-inch finished, then you would need 3 of those 4-inch finished blocks for each square that you have.
Where? Right.
So each square, and then if
For
you're
each
gonna
block, each block of her
block,
quilt would
3 of
have
them.
3 of them.
And then if you're gonna put sashing, then you'll have to accommodate for what you're gonna do for sashing. Like depending on how big your sashing is.
Right.
Oh, gosh, I didn't even think about that.
You know what I mean? So if you're
Yeah.
sashing 2 inches, then you'll be, for each piece of sashing, you'd need one of those 4-inch blocks. Also, in addition to your blocks that you've already put together. That's how I think it would be.
You are putting sashing in between your blocks, right, Audrey?
I haven't decided yet.
Because each of our block is 12-inch finished, right? So you would have 4 goes into 12, 3. So that would be 3 blocks for each, 3 of those 4-piece blocks for each square that we have.
Now you'd have 4.
Then if you do 2-inch sashing, it would be 1 block for each 2-inch sashing that you'd have to add.
So it
And
would give me an 8-inch wide border, which would actually be good because 60 plus 8 makes a 68-inch square quilt.
Well,
I-
one of the things that I would do, Audrey, is look at some of the quilts in here and how they got them laid out. And I don't know if it tells you actually what the measurements are, but you can kind of figure it. They have put sashing on each one of the blocks. Like if you look at the one on page 39, for example, those were 12-inch blocks, and then they put some sashing and cornerstones on. So you can figure kind of figure out what the measurements are to get a 66-inch quilt there. And then how many of those tutti frutti sections they made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it shows you how you can do the corner.
So this is 1, 2, 3.
There's another one on page 55.
Can we start with this one? It says
Well, I think it's the same. I think it's
they're 12-inch blocks.
And it looks like they might have put,
But it doesn't say what size they used to make the border.
well, if they take 12-inch blocks and then they put sashing on those blocks, that is, say, 3 inches. I mean, you might want to do it with math, add it up. And if the quilt is 66 by 66, you can kind of figure out then about what the measurements would be. I would have to do that on paper. I also, because I've done it on a quilt at home, I need to measure what I came up with, and then I can let you know that.
Because I was thinking of taking my 5x5 quilt blocks and doing a small border around the whole thing in like that dark teal.
Okay.
And then doing this ribbon around it.
Okay, now here is another thing you could do. Look at page 99. And look at what they did for a border there.
99?
On page 99. Which is not so big. Now, I know it's all flying geese, but you're an expert at flying geese now. But that's kind of cool looking too. And the die you would use for that would be like the one that you've got, the flying geese die that you've got with your, do you have an electric cutter? Okay, well, that's the,
But I have a 12-inch cube.
okay. But that would be another option.
So I don't know if you could see this, but if I lay out, can you see this on my thing? If I lay out using the 8-inch cube, can you see that? It's 4.5 inches unfinished, the border, using the 8-inch cube. I don't know if you, can you see it or no?
Can't see that, no.
Really
It's
well.
not lined up well.
can't really, I don't know how to use this computer, but when I laid it out using the number 3 from the 8-inch cube, it comes out to 4.5 inches unfinished. I don't know how to make it look right. So I would think 4-inch finish would be the border if you use the 8-inch cube. If you're not looking for such a big border.
No, I am actually looking for like an 8-inch border because
Oh, okay, so that
my
makes sense.
center is going to be like 60 by 60.
Oh, okay, so an 8-inch border, so
You would still use die number 3. Is that
Yeah.
what, yeah.
I think you would still use die number 3, but what is the 12-inch cube based on? I don't have a 12-inch cube. What's the square, the center square thing? Because wouldn't that be how you'd figure it?
No, you would have to figure out whatever the measurements are for that die number 3, which is the half square triangle.
And that is a 6-inch finished square. And
In
you
order to make that particular pattern for the border, you're going to take 4 of those half square triangle units and put them together.
Right.
We're putting 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom.
Right. So
And
like,
then when you sew them together, what is the width that you're getting? What's the size of that block?
It should be 12 inches
No, I don't think it's.
or 11 and a half.
I don't think it's 11 and a half. Is it?
Because you're taking 2 6-inch finished squares and putting them together, and you're making a 4-patch.
Okay, well, I don't know enough about the 12-inch cube. I don't have a 12-inch cube, so. That just seems exorbitantly big. That seems like that's too big for the size quilt you've got.
Are all these fancy borders made with the 12-inch cube, or are some of them made with the 8-inch cube?
Yeah, you can make them with the 6, the 8, or the 9-inch cube as well.
Okay.
Which is, I think, where I would go, like maybe the 9-inch cube or the 8-inch cube, and see what those come out using die number 3.
Well, the 8-inch cube says that they're 4-inch finished squares.
So that would be more like an 8-inch.
8 by 8, yeah.
That I think would be a little better.
But how's that going to line up with your 12-inch?
I don't know. That's why I'm saying you need to look at your quilt and the size that those are. Maybe the 6-inch will be better. You know what I mean? It's, you're going to have to figure out how many units you're going to put into the 60 inches.
6-inch.
Or do you need to add something to make it bigger? Like, what's the magic number? If you use the 6-inch, will that make 6-inch squares? If it'll make 6-inch, then you would need 10 of them for 60 inches. 8 of them and 9 of them might be just too big.
6 inches makes a 3-inch finished square, the 6 cube.
Okay, but then you put those half square triangles together, you're
So
gonna.
that would be 6 inches.
Right. So then you would make 10 of them for 60 inches. 10 of those 4, the 4 half square triangles together, you would make 10 of those units. Because 10 times 6 is 60.
Yeah.
These are cut with the 8-inch cube. They're die number 3. So they're a half square triangle. And they're
See,
two sewed together, and this makes an 8-inch.
that's big. I think you want a smaller one.
Yeah,
This is 8, so if you had one next to it going the opposite direction, that would be, you know,
16.
yeah,
I'm
these are 4 and 4. So you'd have one here and one here would be 8 by 8.
That would,
That's using the
You
8-inch.
need to work way smaller.
Yeah, that's too big.
yeah, it would take over your quilt and you wouldn't even.
Right.
box.
Yeah.
So work
But-
with 6-inch cube. You
But
have it,
if you want this to just be the drop, your blocks are all going to be on the top, and then this is going to be the drop.
Then
Right.
you could get, yeah, then you could get away with it.
Then you could get
'Cause
away
then
with a
you'd have
bigger.
that 8-inch drop all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my blocks are just gonna be on top.
Yeah.
but Diane, then if she wants it to be 60 inches and she makes, say she does the 8-inch,
Yeah, this
Um,
would be the 8-inch one.
it's not gonna come out even for 60 inches. Then you're gonna
No.
have to figure out, like 5 of those units would be 40. 6 of them would be 48. 7 would be 56. It's not gonna come out to 60. So,
And she'd have to stick in a little itty bitty border in between to
Yep.
get the size that she wanted.
as you want.
So she could make the strips and then she could just see what size little mini border, like the white one behind you on the quilt.
You might have to add one that was like 2 inches.
Yeah, like the one behind you, Eileen.
So I was gonna
Like the
do
quilt
that
behind you.
with the dark teal, just to sort of anchor the blocks to make it.
All right, so do that and then make it with the 8-inch cube. Do you have the 8-inch cube?
Mm-hmm.
Make it with the 8-inch cube, and I think you'll be all right. Let's see, 7 times 8 is 56. 8 times 8 is 64. So what you would have to do is add a border that would make your quilt 64 inches.
Yeah, 2 inches all the way around.
Right, and then you could make 8 of those sections and you'd be good.
I think figuring that kind of stuff out is the worst part of a quilt. A piece border. I really do.
I mean, I could take the easy way out and just do a very wide flowery border. But I
Well-
do have extra fabric to make.
Yeah, then go ahead and use it. Okay, I give you permission.
I'm having enough trouble with these little corner units. Man, these are stinkers.
Yep.
These, I think, are the worst ones I've ever tried to put together.
Is that the friendship block you're doing?
It's the block of the month, May 2nd block.
Yeah. Can you imagine doing it with a 4-inch cube?
That's the friendship block, not on your life. No
I've-
way. I'm having enough trouble with this one. This is why when I got to the 4 corners, I said, okay, I'm going to take a break and go plant flowers. And now I'm doing this today and I'm like, oh my God, am I that rusty? Jeez. These little guys are terrible. Wow. I am pressing the seams open on this. Are you doing that too, Helen?
Yes.
Did you
yes.
press the seams open on these? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. They look like, it looks better. Actually, the back doesn't look too bad.
All right, so we said to use the 8-inch cube to make these triangles,
And
right?
make this, and then you would make eight of them on each side. Eight times 8 is 64, and your quilt is 60 inches, so that does mean that you're gonna have to add a border.
Which I wanted to do anyway.
Yeah, bring it up to the 64 inches.
So a 2-inch border.
Yeah.
2.5-inch cut.
Right.
This is an 8-inch block.
Yeah,
Wow.
but that would be really pretty going all the way around
Like this,
on the
Mhm.
drop.
you know, whichever direction, so. I had extra triangles left from a table runner I made my sister, so
That's pretty fabric.
it's Audrey's fabric.
Oh, it is?
It's one of the bundles I got a long time ago at Aurora.
Yeah, it's just in a darker colorway.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just a lighter little check. But these were cut with the die number 3 on the 8-inch cube. And it comes up 8 inches, 8 by 8.
Right, yeah.
So then if I have the dark border going all the way around the cubes, then I don't have to really line it up with my 12-inch squares, right?
Right,
Right.
correct.
And then
Yeah.
make sure that you square your quilt after you add that first border.
But
Mhm.
you do want to make sure that visually where the seams are, they line up. Because if
Yeah.
it's off, you're gonna notice it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they show you.
When you're
in the-
looking at your quilt block, you want to look over past the little, past your small border. You want that next border to line up.
But they're not all gonna line up if one's 8 inches and one is 12.
Where's the? No, the border, your teal border will eliminate the need for those to line up. Those pieces we're gonna put in that border, the Tutti Frutti border isn't gonna line up with your blocks.
It,
No.
at all, it won't line up at all?
I don't think.
No, because it's an 8-inch.
Because
That's an 8-inch. The Tutti Frutti thing is only 8 inches. Her blocks are 12.
But each
Every-
section is 4, and each section of your quilt blocks are 4. For A12.
Well, look at the cover of that outside the box book and you'll see what I mean. They've got 12-inch blocks in there. And those Tutti Fruttis, you get about 3 of the Tutti Frutti sections,
Could you hold that up?
each 12-inch
Yeah,
block.
here.
See?
Oh, okay, now I see what you're talking about. Okay, that's, never mind, forget what I said.
Gives you 12 inches. You want at least 3 of these
Yeah,
12 inches. And then on the corner, it shows you in the book what to do on the corner.
I gotta get that book.
I don't have that book either. I
I
have
gotta
this
get
one.
that book.
Yeah, me too.
This
Yeah,
is,
me too.
this is another one that's worth the investment. It goes with your AccuQuilt. It's really good.
Could we use our 20%, could we use our 20% discount to get the book?
Yes, I think probably. If not, come to AccuQuilt Club on the 11th of June and pick it up then. Yeah, AccuQuilt is going to be earlier. It'll be on the 11th of June because we're trying to get it in before I go out of commission for a little bit.
I think I'm gonna make a table runner out of these blocks.
That's pretty.
So pretty.
I have them left because when these were the first thing I cut on my AccuQuilt, and I totally didn't realize that when you were laying 2 different fabrics right sides together and cutting them,
Yeah.
I had enough to make with the thing I was making for my sister, and I just kept cutting. So I had double.
Oh
I
my
needed
God.
24 sets of 24 blocks, and I ended up with 48.
Wow.
Yowza. There's the second one.
Yeah, this is the second. This will be the second one. She wasn't getting both of them.
Well, Diane, just you make them all exactly the same.
I am. Yeah, this is the second one.
Once you figure out that.
But there's a lot going on in the back, so I'm pressing these buggers open.
Yeah. Yeah. Good girl.
Yeah, there's a lot of best press in them too.
You'll notice that I left the more complicated block toward the end.
Yeah, I'm freaking out over the 4-inch that we're gonna be embarking on.
I agree.
All right, die number 3. 8-inch cube. Finished.
Yeah, and I would go ahead and cut some out of some scraps and put a unit together so that you know what it looks like.
I think that's a great idea.
I have to do that every time. I'm a visual person. I can do all I want on paper, but I have to do it in person.
Well, it's close enough. That point is.
I took a whole bunch of pictures of my blocks, some of them just together block by block, some of them with a blue background and some with a brown background. I'm going to post them on our page and just get your late.
Great. Robin, we missed that.
I think Robin is frozen.
Yeah. We're only hearing like a quarter of what you're saying, not even. You're going in and out, in and out.
Okay, how about now? Any better?
We can't
Hello?
see you, but we can hear you better.
Okay. That's weird. Can you hear me now? Okay.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to post a bunch of pictures of my quilt.
Okay.
I laid some of the blocks together without any borders or without any strips in between.
Okay.
Sashing, and I put blue sashing on some and I put brown sashing on some.
So you're
my husband
auditioning different colors.
Yeah, and my husband likes the plain without any sashing. So I just want your opinions, if you would, when you get a chance to take a look at it.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay.
That's where our Facebook page is really helpful.
Yes, it is.
I'm just going to have to look at it when I get home, though.
I haven't posted it yet because I don't want to leave the meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did a final layout the other night. I haven't posted that picture yet, but what I ended up doing was having the yellow sort of making an X across the quilt.
Okay. Good.
And then the other colors in between.
Good for you.
Nice.
You are getting so clever, Audrey. I can't believe our time is almost up. Where did it go today?
No.
Really? We talked about a lot.
Well, I'm gonna attempt my sashing. I just cut all my pieces
Wow.
and Wish me luck.
Good
I'm
luck.
gonna try
Fran.
very hard not to pull out my old sewing machine.
I know that feeling.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
I know that feeling well.
But once
I
you
mean, I
realize
don't
how
even
well
know
it-
how to thread it.
once you realize how well it sews,
Yeah.
you'll not want to go back.
Yeah.
I still have to get out the manual to figure out how to fill a bobbin. So the other day when I was filling my bobbin, I got it right. I filled 4 bobbins just so I wouldn't have to do it again.
Well, that's probably about how I'm gonna look.
Yeah.
Well, if you have any trouble, just let me know. I can help you out.
Oh, I will. That's why I asked when you're coming back to Skyline.
Well, I'll be home this afternoon. I'm gonna sew with my sister, but if you have any questions,
Oh, nice.
text me and I will help you.
Well, that's right. Today is So with your sister day.
We're with my sister day. Next week, she's gonna be here.
Oh, nice.
Well, you're just sewing with her on Zoom?
I have all year long, every Thursday afternoon.
Oh, nice.
She's really getting into free motion quilting right now.
Will I be able to free motion quilt this big quilt on my machine? Or should I just start ordering up a person to do it for me?
Well, I think that depends on you and what you think you want to do.
Well, I don't know.
You can do it on that machine. I can show you how to.
Do I have to use the embroidery hook or?
Nope, you can do it right on your own machine.
Okay, we'll talk.
Yes, we will.
I got stashing to figure out and borders first.
Throw it over your shoulder and keep going.
Yeah. I don't know. I only have 10 inches between the needle and my inside the machine. What do you have? How many inches?
I don't have 10. I have a little bit less than that for the my 590.
Oh, okay.
But I've done two king size quilts on my old 730. It was very heavy, but I was only doing kind of wavy stitches.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna try not to do very, very hard. If I did it myself, I just don't know how I can handle it to move it.
Yeah, I was doing I think stitch number 4. I played with the width and the length, but I did that kind of in a grid pattern. That was my go-to quilting stitch on that machine.
What you may need to do, Brenda, is do it up at the big table in the room where you can spread your quilt out.
Yes, because I've only got a tiny little table here.
I know, and you wouldn't want to try it there. It wouldn't work very well.
Oh,
Yeah, we need to get in that room.
well, we got in the room for cards, so I don't know why we can't get in that room for sewing.
Oh, well, maybe we can.
I think with a little sweet talking, we could be in.
Problem I have is my schedule right now.
Right.
On Tuesday, let's see. Oh, this Tuesday, I could, if we could get in there, we could sew on Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have any, I had my pre-tests last Tuesday.
Yes, while I was buying my machine and you were gone. I'm like, where's Eileen?
If we're really gonna have, if we're gonna do sewing in there on Tuesday though, I need to know so I bring some work out.
So you want me to go talk to Adele this weekend?
Yeah, if you wanna talk to her, find out whether we can get in there, that'd be great.
Okie dokie. I'll
Otherwise-
add it to my list.
Here, list of things to do.
Well, the knee lift the woman forgot to bring the knee lift for my machine. So
Okay.
she's bringing it in Friday. So I'll be going out to Aurora Saturday morning to pick up the knee lift. And I bought the 1/4-inch foot.
You did the 97?
The 97
I bought a 1/4-inch foot. I have no idea what number it is.
Well, I hope you asked for the 97D. You should be able to get a discount on it because of our class today.
Well, no, I got the discount because of by buying the machine. I got 20% off.
Oh, okay, good.
But I had 3 choices and I picked the cheaper choice.
The cheaper choice. Sure.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have this thing. It doesn't have what you go up against. I just follow.
Oh, the seam guide?
Yeah, I don't have that. I didn't think I needed it because I think I can follow along the side of the foot, but maybe I'm totally wrong.
Do you have the hole in the back?
Who?
There's a a cutout in the back on the D foot.
I have no idea. All she did was whip out 3 packages and said which one, and I go, oh, this one.
Oh,
Oh,
we need to talk before you go buying too much stuff.
yeah.
You may end up buying stuff that you're not going to use, so we want you to get the right stuff.
Oh, well, I thought the 1/4-inch foot was needed.
Yes, but the 1/4-inch foot is 97D is what you want. That's what the 1/4-inch foot is.
Who?
Well, maybe they would let you exchange it if it was the wrong one.
They would let you exchange it if you haven't got that.
97D. No, I just paid for one of the 1/4. Probably that's the one that's like 120.
No, it's not.
I'm not sure. I don't.
It's like
can't remember.
55.
It's 55.
I think so.
And
Don't recall.
I got the 20% off and it cost me 49. So that's probably the one.
That would be good.
Oh,
Okay.
no, sorry.
I'll ask when I get there to pick it
No,
up.
it's not. It's 92.99.
Okay, I didn't get that one.
Minus the 20%.
I didn't get that one. So that has the edge. You have your foot and then the edge.
Yeah, it's got,
that's a different foot.
hold on.
I didn't get that. Where'd you go?
Here it is. It's got the seam guide and it's,
Oh, no,
And it
I don't have that. No. All I have to do is, well, not to see me, is follow along the edge of the, I'm just supposed to follow along the edge of the foot. I don't have that.
Ladies, I'm gonna have to sign off. It's after 1 o'clock.
Oh, goodbye, Eileen.
We could keep going, but I can't.
No, you gotta go see your sister.
No, well, Diane also has to prep for another class, so I gotta get out of her way.
Okay, all right. Well,
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you late for the next one also.
Okie dokie, dear.
Bye.
Take care.
You too.